Season's greetings, Sega fans. You're tuned in to the Sega Guys podcast, being brought down from the attic like that dusty old Christmas tree to join Radio Sega's WinterFest for the 5th year in a row. Unfortunately, James the Segaholic won't be joining me tonight as he has some last-minute responsible adult stuff to do. So joining me in some irresponsible festive Sega chat, we welcome back Dibbs Ahoy and Bedgell of Gaming for Ages. Gents, how you doing? What have you been up to?
Oh, good. We're good. Been busy with our channel, just like enjoying plenty of games and yeah, having some fun with the old Sega. It's always a pleasure to delve into some of these titles and yeah, good times, good times.
I've been desperately trying to catch up with Dib's score on Christmas nights. Obviously, we've been running the challenge, and I mean, last year we did it, and I got an okay score, but it was still my best score last year was nowhere near the first score you've done this year. So I'm playing catch up, but we'll get there.
Oh
So
man, I thought that score. I threw that out there because I thought, okay, that ain't too good of a score. So it's
this,
it's
this
a
is such
humble
a
score, I thought anyway.
it's such a classic chat between us when I say something like, "Oh, I'm so bad at this game," or like the best I've ever done at this game, and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty rubbish." Anyway, yes,
Yeah,
playing plenty of Christmas nights, so,
yeah,
of course.
because that was the last video I think that came on your channel, at least the last one I saw. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's I definitely need to get my score up, and I've been watching closely, mostly how you defeat Gilwing, because I can
Mm.
rarely ever do the para loop on the tail. I always
Yeah.
end up getting a really good score on the courses, and I get to Gilwing, I try to para loop him, and I was just like, you bastard.
Yeah, it's tricky. There's a guy who he was a bit of a like a enigma. Like he was always at the top of the Xbox 360 leaderboards on nights, and he had just these insane scores. And like this one day, a few years back, I found his channel on YouTube, and he kind of shows how he does that looping thing. It's like he kind of like hovers just underneath the star, and then he kind of like goes round and kind of I think he goes over the top, and then it makes the loop or something. And I was like, oh man, I got to try that. I think he was called Cat Gone Crazy was his name on Xbox. Yeah, I forget what his name is. Oh, it's Justin something. Justin, and then a name beginning with a T. But like, yeah, he's a very good player, worth hunting down his
It's
channel.
it's so subtle though, isn't it? I mean, I swear that I've done it exactly the same as people that I've seen do it on YouTube. I swear it, and that, but yeah, I'll get caught and get that little yelp thing that Knights does, and
Man, that noise is annoying. It's like
then
it just pierces your soul or something.
It's a combination of seeing that and the -5 second mark pop up. It's
Mm.
just like, oh, it's just ruined everything.
That
yeah,
hurts.
because you know you've been playing it for what, like 10, 15 minutes, whatever, to get to that point, and as
Yeah,
soon as you
Yeah.
get one of those, you're like, well,
Oh
that's
man.
that screwed.
yeah. But it's a solid 8 minutes if you're trying to max out your score, isn't it?
Yeah,
At least,
yeah,
you've
yeah.
got 2 minutes per, it's 120 seconds per
Mm.
course, and then you've got, walking up to the Idia Palace and sitting through kind of when he's dancing around in his chamber and going to the boss area, and then you cock it up with Gilring's tail, and it's just like,
I
it's
Yeah,
see.
so
that is
good.
annoying.
Do you know what that reminds me of? I was just yesterday watching your Virtua Fighter 2 video, cracking video by the way,
Mm.
and
Thank you.
and it was reminding me of that bit where playing all the way through to the end, one shot Jarrell, and you're like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
the pain. But that's kind of what it's like, isn't it, on Christmas nights? It is pretty much a one shot deal. You have a go at that
Yeah.
star, and if you cock it up, well, it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least you can just kind of slam Gilwing in the face. Jarrell just gives you nothing. It's so
Yeah,
cheap.
true.
I was playing Ultimate Showdown the other day on the PS4, and I was thinking, you know, I'm doing pretty well. I'm doing all right. One credited, got through everyone, got to Akira, and I did an excellent on him. Got that on the Virtua Fighter Revo announcement video. I thought I'll get that bit of footage in,
Yeah,
smashing the granny out of
yeah.
Akira. I got to Juro, I was right. Right. And she absolutely hammered me. I was like, you absolute
Oh.
bitch.
I
Yeah,
just
she's
got to put
out of
down the mark
order.
saying that's the first time I've ever heard the phrase smashing the granny out of someone. That's a beaut. I like it. Like it.
Oh, but yes, so gents, we are talking about Christmas games, and this is going to be airing on Radio Sega's Winterfest. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go around and we'll start with you, Dibs, and talk about
Mm.
a Sega Christmas game, a great game to play on any Sega console, or maybe non-Sega console in some instances, over Christmas. So let's go to you first, mate. Dibs,
Okay,
what's
dokie.
what's the Sega game should we talk about first?
Well, one of the ones that always comes to my mind is Shenmue. I mean, like when it hits Christmas and it's like, it's that Santa walking around, the snow's in the streets. It's just like, you're living through that game, and when it hits Christmas, you're feeling it. It's
Yeah.
like all the feels come to you. You're in the season, and like, yeah, it's just a fantastic experience. Like, just to be living in that world and going through what Rio is going through, and yeah, it's totally Christmas to me. I mean, once it passes, and you get deeper into the story, obviously
Yeah.
that becomes a little bit of a distant memory. But at that moment, it's totally Christmas.
But it's funny actually. Some of the, I suppose, a few of these games will get this, but it's like of the at the age that us guys were when these games were coming out, maybe the magic was beginning to fade a bit in real life. So actually, disappear into these games, and somehow it kind of recreated it. I suppose none more so than something as realistic and immersive as Shenmue, but
Mm.
yeah, it's sort of yeah, very immersive. It kind of recreated it a bit for our cold teenage hearts.
Yeah, no, that's a great shout because you start off and obviously you see Ryo's dad get murdered and it's
Ah.
November and they're talking about the time it snowed and thundered, blah 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 blah, and it's just like, and but you're kind of acutely aware that the calendar's like November. And you're right, you're living in that world. And as it ticks into December, and all of a sudden, you get days where the snow is falling. And because it's based on actual weather in Yokosuka,
Mm.
it would have actually been snowing in that region at the time, which is pretty cool when you think about it. And then you've got Santa Claus walking around, and you can go and chat to him.
Really cool. Yeah, yeah, I love that touch. That I always remember that guy.
You can just imagine when they put, I mean, a long development cycle, and obviously it's under constant pressure to wrap it up, come on, move on, like with the game. You can just see in though the little touches that you'd be able to add in a game like that, which obviously there was nothing like that before. You'd get so carried away, wouldn't you? Should we add Santa in? Should we do some snow? Should we do this? Should we do that? It's like, no, no, you move
Do
on.
the lot, do the lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's modeled after, a real place with, real weather, you've got to imagine that it must be a Santa walking around that region as
Yeah.
well. I
Mm.
mean, it's quite, there's other games that probably be talking about as we go further along,
Yeah.
where, where Santa's just, he's not in his little grotto waiting for kids to sit on his knee. In Japan, he just seems to be ambling about like Shenmue. He's one of them. He's not some sort of mystical guy. He's just out for a stroll, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good cosplay. So next time there's like a con come up, go as Santa, and everyone's like, "Oh, what Santa got to do with computer games?" Aha, aha.
Little do they know.
Little do they know. Next level. That's deep cosplay. Yeah.
Yeah, that
What you
is.
really what you really need is one of those like a flat mask to go around and put like the texture map Santa
Yeah,
face.
yeah. Oh, that would be amazing. That would be cool.
Ooh, creepy. I bet there is someone that does it though, yeah, because it's modelled on a real place. So yeah, if you were there, you'd want to recreate it, wouldn't you? Do you know what? Slight tangent. Like I was playing Jet Set Radio Future the other day, and obviously there's bits of Tokyo that they like similarly kind of recreated. And I mean, there's a few bits that kind of look similar to bits I'd recognise, and I was like, but there was one bit in particular, and I can't remember the street now. You must have been, like, you'll know the name. It's like the really famous shopping street where it's next to a park, and there's like it's kind of going down a hill. There's like a big archway, and it's kind of anyway, it's a big shopping street, and I swear it's identical. And I got so excited when I found it in the game, and I was like, oh my God, I've been there, I've been there. So that, but at Christmas, oh, you'd be recreating it all day long if you lived there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Sega are great at that though. There was, oh God, what was it I was looking at the other day? I think that was it. Someone posted a picture of their hotel, And we're going well off piste here, aren't we? But then someone posted a picture of their hotel, like they were in the swimming pool and they were
Yeah.
looking out from the hotel over the swimming pool with the palm trees on the way, and you could see a bit of the hotel to the left, and then the beach was there, and it was picture for picture. It was like that scene from Sonic Adventure.
Oh, nice.
That's
Yeah.
so cool.
That is really cool. I love that.
Yeah, it's Sega loved doing that sort of stuff. So
Mm.
Yeah. And you forget those, don't you? Because like these days, obviously, like especially in the racing sims, they're so photorealistic and they recreate the tracks. It's very. But do you remember first time Metropolis Street Racer with the
I was
bits of
thinking
London?
that.
yeah,
Because we were talking
Yeah.
about it the other day, weren't we? And it's like, oh, it was so exciting. And, you know, when,
It was
like,
really
yeah,
exciting. I
and when
love
do you
that.
remember when Google Maps came? Sorry, this is a real tangent. When Google Maps came out, and we just always just sit there as a family, like zooming in on the house and going, "It's our
yeah.
house." And part of you's thinking, "I know, we could just go outside and look at it." But in a game, it's so much cooler. Like Metropolis
Yeah.
Street Racer, I did genuinely did just drive around, spotted things, and going, "Oh, this is so cool."
Yeah.
Oh man, it just makes me think of those UK Resistance news articles they used to say, you know, when Metropolis Street Racer we kept getting delayed and delayed, and they kept posting news articles on MSR on UK Resistance saying, yeah, MSR has been delayed again because someone moved the phone box 2 feet down the road, and they've had had to rebuild the track and all that sort of stuff.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was good. They actually had some Sega news back at the time when you said when everyone was sending in pictures of the Dreamcast worlds that they'd seen randomly on things.
Oh,
Yeah.
I miss that site. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
when
Yeah.
the Nintendo DS came out, and the headline was something like "Nintendo DS shows you how ugly you are twice," and it had this, you had like a fake picture of his reflection in both screens. It's cracking.
Oh that yeah, it was amazing that
Oh
site.
yeah.
I loved it when he shut it down and then PSN got hacked and he had to come back just to rub salt into
Yes,
the
yes,
wound. It said something like sinking PlayStation torpedoed again or something like that. Oh
yeah.
dear.
Oh, brilliant. But yeah, getting back on track, Shenmue. I think it's like talking about all this about obviously we talked about MSR and stuff, but it's something that we're really, I don't know. Do you think we take it for granted now, or do you think it's stuff that we don't really see anymore? Is that attention to detail to kind of bring the world to life? Because there is one other series I might mention that you could say has that level of detail, but it's not. I think that era of games with Shenmue and with MSR was pretty special, wasn't it? And I
Yeah.
think that's what made that section, when the snow started falling, you started seeing Santa strolling around in Debuita and stuff. That kind of made it. That's what made it special. And I don't think you really see that these days, do you?
No. And do you know
Not
what?
so
Like,
much, yeah.
are those? I guess those are kind of attention to detail in recreating a place, but it was just attention to detail generally. Those little magical touches that are kind of gone now. Now in the AAA, it's about how can you make it big and expansive and all of that stuff, and not so much about the magical touches. And what was it? Only a couple of months ago with Astrobot, and you really saw people still have a real yearning for that. Like games that just have that beautiful bit of imagination. And then these, might have been attention to detail in that way. I mean, Shenmue had loads of things that weren't just about the scenery, it's about everything. But yeah, I think it's a lot of developers just don't have that. And what was it? Someone from Sony came out today or yesterday saying we reckon games should sort of shrink back down to 20 or 30 hours of, well, shrink back down, still longer than old games, but but shrink down and just be really good, condensed, fun games. And I completely agree with. Because when
Mm.
you've only got, I don't know what, like 16 meg of cartridge to play with, you just have to pack it for the moments. You can't have all this sort of loose gameplay. Yeah, and I think it's those magical touches that used to carry you through games of that size that when they got bigger and they could just rely on things looking flashy, they just didn't bother with anymore. And it's like, yeah, magical touches. That's okay. It's a
Mm.
Christmas theme, isn't it? It's the sort of thing you say at Christmas.
Yeah,
Bring it. Mm.
yeah. I think you're spot on. I think if they made if someone made Shenmue today, it would be like you'd see all these engines pop up at the start after the logo, and you'd see like it's powered by Speed Tree,
Yeah.
and we've procedurally generated all this giant thing, and the world is 200 kilometers wide, and all that sort of stuff. And you just wouldn't have that intimacy that you have
Mm.
with Shenmue. And I think that's why it's such a great shout, Dibs. It's just I think it has the kind of the magic and the intimacy of Christmas.
Yeah,
That whole section when it gets to that time of year. So
yeah.
yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Like, yeah, just a classic, and it's just, it doesn't take anything away from it. Like how many years have passed either. I don't think it's like every time I go back to it, I'm there again, living it, and it's just like, as good as it ever was. I just love that game.
Yeah, it's like going home, isn't it?
It
When you
is,
go
yeah,
when you get really immersed in it, it's just like
yeah,
it's just like revisiting your childhood, but like actually
yeah,
being there.
yeah. Like walking the familiar streets and stuff. It's like, yeah, it's awesome.
Awesome. Good shout. Bedgell, we'll move on to you then. So, what Sega game would you recommend for someone to play at Christmas?
I'm skirting around the big one. Do you land the big one? We know what the big one
No,
is.
no,
So
no.
you
I'm going to leave the big one to you guys.
okay.
You,
Well, let's.
you're the guest. You have that honor.
Do you know what? I don't think it's just on the tip of my tongue the whole time. So I think we have to chuck it out there because we were talking magical moments, and this is a game that is itself a magical moment, and it's got to be Christmas nights.
Yeah.
Just, I mean, yeah, I think we'd all just have it maybe as our number one game we'd think of at Christmas, but it's just so many reasons. It's not just that it's Christmas. If they'd have done it any other time of the year, and of course it does work at other times of the year, all the stuff they piled into it still has all those magical moments. All the unlockables, all the Easter eggs, all the well, not Easter eggs. You know what I mean? Like all the things you unlock. The fact that it's an absolutely amazing game and it has that sort of beautiful kind of like free flowing magical feel about it. Anyway, it is just a game that is itself a magical moment. And making a Christmas version of it was just like this is just the perfect idea. It
Mhm.
was like there is no game that seems better suited to that feeling of Christmas. I know the original game's sort of not really anything about Christmas, but you know what I mean by the feel of the game. It is so magical and sort
It is
of open.
magic. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't sort of capture it as well as they did, but I think it is such a brilliant gift from Sega what they did with it. And yeah, for me, obviously the advent calendar part of it, the unlockable time of it as well, that really adds to the sense of it because Christmas is all about like it ticking from November into December at night sort of captures that brilliantly and just yeah, I feel like I could go on and on. So it's definitely my number one Christmas recommendation. I think
Mm.
it is for most people, but it's just brilliant.
Yeah, I think we can all go on and on. But I just think of the original game. The original game, I think when we were kids. I don't know if you were kind of the same, but when we were kids, and obviously we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have YouTube or Netflix. We barely had four channels on telly. And you'd get at Christmas, you'd get all the special films. You'd get like they'd play Star Wars on ITV or BBC
Yeah.
or something, and occasionally you get like a Disney film on there that's playing. You get like Robin Hood or maybe like Beauty and the Beast is on terrestrial TV. Nights kind of feels like that to me. I don't know.
Totally.
Is that?
Yeah.
Did you say the same thing? Like the main game nights?
Yeah, I just think like there's there's so well going to Christmas like to kind of loop round to the point, but there were things that around Christmas time as a kid they would mark the build up. There'd be a carol concert at school and there'd be something on the telly. There'd be the movies coming out on the telly and stuff like that. And I just think that kind of building sense of excitement, that's kind of what it captures. Yeah, and the original, like the main game has it in spades as well. Like I say, you don't really even need the Christmas part of it for it to be a magical game. The main game has it in spades, but it's just this sort of extra bonus on top of bonus that they did then Christmasify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that was fantastic when they did that. I mean, it was like like you were saying, it was just a perfect melding of two things, and it was. I remember when I saw it in a magazine, it just made sense to me. It was just, it was just the perfect like coming together of two things, and the fact that Sega just were looking to give it away. Like I mean there was a little bit of confusion initially, wasn't there? Like I mean. It's one of the things I talked about in my video was when it was first in the magazines, it was you had to pick you had to purchase, sorry, two of the big games that were coming out that year. So it was like I couldn't remember exactly all of them, but there was Fighting Vipers, Daytona CCE, and Virtua Cop 2 was in the mix, and I was kind of like, oh man, like I'm not going to be able to get them because I've only got enough for one. But then like I think there was a issue of Stevie G that came out, and it was like, oh no, no, it's okay. You only have to get one of the big games, then you get your copy with it. And I was like, yes, I was so hyped. And I was like, I kept on going down to the shop and like, when is this out? When is this out? When is this out? And they were like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Because it was like, it was so like, like Sega. It was like, oh, we've got this thing. We're chugging it together. We're getting it together. And like, we need to get it out there. But it was like, it was a little bit like they were winging it. And
A little
it
bit
was
like they're winging it.
They're always winging
yeah.
it.
But it was so Sega the way they were
Yeah, so
kind of
Sega,
going
yeah.
about it. It was like yeah, and the day when it actually did come out, like I mean, like in my video that I did, like I was saying that the manager guy was giving me a hard time, and because he was like, oh, we're not supposed to be giving them out yet, and he looks at, I don't know if you saw the Knight Rider episode, Night of the Juggernaut, where there's this like big tank looking thing and it destroys Kit. So I already didn't like him, but like he looked exactly like this manager guy. So it was all negative things in my head. So my inner Michael Knight was coming out defending defending myself. I shall have this copy of Christmas Nights, and somehow I managed to convince him to let me have it. And yeah, but what a Christmas
I
it
just don't
was.
know how your mind works, man. That's
I don't think it does. I think that's the problem. So
it's so true. You know, we said about Magical Moments, it is so Sega as well. And you just think now, as we've got older and sort of more bitter about things, and DLC's become a thing. We love Street Fighter, but Capcom and the DLC,
Oh, yeah.
they epitomize the whole ethos of games now. You don't. It's not that you don't get anything for free. You don't even get what you paid for. You don't even get the main characters and all that. And
the
so
Street Fighter Cross Tekken, there was actually on the disc, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
They just sealed it off.
So it's like, the idea of actually making something that you give away, it's just, it's so Sega, but it's also just so Christmas, isn't it? Real kind of just generous hearted thing to do. And like, and
Yeah,
they didn't
it made
half-ass
that
it,
Christmas.
did they? They
Yeah.
didn't, they really went for it and like packed it full of stuff. I just think yeah, love it.
It's insane when you
Yeah.
think about the fact that they obviously pulled it together so that people would have a playable demo. And it's like, right, well, this is our best game that we've got out in 1996. This is Yuji Naka, creator of Sonic, Sonic Team, Naruto Mishima, all the gangs there creating this masterpiece. And we want more people to buy it and buy Saturn. So we're going to create a demo. So it's like, Sonic Team, can you give us a vertical slice of the game? And it's like, yeah, okay, well, you can just have Clarice's level, but you can play as Elliot as well. But, you know, we'll change it so that his layouts are completely different.
Mm.
What else can we do? We'll make it work with the Sega Saturn clock, and we'll do all this other stuff. And you can open presents, and then it's like more and more and more stuff. And it's
Yeah.
just like how is it? How is it a demo? How was it
Yeah,
free?
yeah.
I was by the time I got my Saturn in late '96, when I picked it up, they had stacks of these discs on a table in Comet, and I was just like, "Oh right, can I grab one?" It's like, you can have two if you want. So I took two of them.
You're making me jealous, man. You're making me
I
jealous.
know. I was just thinking, like, oh man, I was just been shoving them in every pocket I got.
I know, you know how much they go for now. You'd be like that, wouldn't you? Just put your
You would.
scoop them
They're
all up.
free. They're free. Comic, you can't have it. I was just thinking though, because we were talking about it the other day, and so I'll probably get the timings wrong and stuff. The general story was, so Yuji Naka comes back from America, and Sega want a Sonic game for the Saturn, and he's like, oh, I'm burnt out, lads. Let me do something else for a bit. And so him and Ashi were like rock up, and they make Nights, and they said, give us a year. We'll make Nights, and then we'll make another game, and then we'll come back and make you a Sonic game. And then what did it take? 2 years or something? It was like they promised whatever, and it took much longer. And I always think, and then they did this, and you must think there's some manager at Sega going, hang on a minute, Aren't you already like massively over budget and over time? And now you're doing this. And then, like, obviously, icing on the cake. Oh, yeah. By the way, it's got Sonic in it. First, the first viewing of Sonic in 3D. Not taking the piss or anything, Sega, but, we've not only we not doing the game you wanted, but we've also shoved him in here as well.
You can imagine, can't you? It's like, right, we need to do this flying jester game, okay? Let's get it out of our system.
Yeah.
We'll make a Sonic game next, and then they do Christmas nights. Oh, you spent too much time on this. At least you're focusing on the on Sonic now. Well, about that. Do you like firefighting?
Yeah.
Oh, how imaginative, though. Yeah, you just think, what a run of games. Obviously, the only thing is he's then carried on being imaginative, and it hasn't quite always worked out for him. I think you just needed that Sega crew around you. It's one thing to be a great producer and have great ideas, but you do need a team that kind of has the, the nous and the ability to land stuff like that. So, yeah. But yeah, I just think of him. Just think he was like massively over budget, and he's like, or over time, whatever, and he's just sat there shoving more stuff in Christmas nights. Oh yeah, and by the way, we're giving it away for free. What?
I mean, everything about that game, just the amount of effort and attention to detail that they put in there. Like you start off with that beautiful pastel color, like pastel drawn intro, with its own narration, and the game's got its own story. I mean, the voice acting's a bit off in it.
I think it's got a charm to it.
It has got a charm.
I was a bit sad when they redid it. When they put it on PS3 and 360.
Oh, they redid it. I've never done the Christmas
They got
night
some. It sounded like. I mean, I think in our video I related like the voice to sounding like Nanny McPhee or something like that. But it was like the girl who originally did it. She sounded a bit like sleepy and stuff like that. And there was something nice and soft and charming about it. And I kind of was a bit like, oh, I kind of liked it, but yeah, I know what you mean. It ain't great, but the charm is there.
It's classically crap, but it's because the redone one. She's too formal, and it's not like she. If the new one was brilliant, it would be great. But it's kind of in that middle bit where it's like it's too professional to be fun and crap, but not quite good enough to be.
The heart is gone a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. We want things to be a little bit crap at Christmas, It's like Slade, isn't it? It's like, Christmas stuff is not going to be properly good. It's meant to be a bit ropey. So
that's a good point.
No one would remember the Resident Evil Jill sandwich kind of conversation if it was like real slick, would they? So
I think that's why I don't get on with the Resident Evil remake. I find it really boring. And I know people are probably crucifying me for that, but I can't get into it.
They smooth stuff out too much, don't they? It's like, no, I want my edges, I want my shaky bits,
Yeah, like it's just got no personality. It's like, maybe it's a bit more tense and scary, I suppose, but I'm pretty bored. I don't find it as interesting. Give me dual sandwiches and blood. Are we examining this blood?
It is amazing though. I was playing Golden Axe earlier in the week, and you get to the end bit, like where you sort of rescue the king and queen or whatever they are, and there's like a massive typo in one of the bits of speech they do. There must be no more than about 300 words in the whole game. Like, how did that get through? How did they not spot that there's this massive typo? I think it's a word missing or something, what they say. And you're like, yeah, but it's part of the fun, isn't it? Things being a bit ropey.
Games back then were brilliant, though, weren't they? You got I think there's that game that says "Congratulation," isn't there?
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters on the NES, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, there was a whole slew of like mistakes in that whole blurb. I remember. Yeah.
And there's some weird English in the intro to Burning Rangers, actually, because remember I did that short for it, so I watched the intro about 50 times, and it's like some massive thing. It comes up with the thing, you're like, there's definitely a word missing from that.
It's Chris Parton. Chris Parton is missing the O in her name when that pops up.
Oh, is it?
And Lead Phoenix has got his name as Reed Phoenix.
Yeah.
So obviously the L's is R's thing, and it's just like, come on, guys.
It can happen to anyone, though. I got to admit this. We've been using these same text screens in our shorts for like 2 months, and we didn't notice the whole time. It's got like a really bad typo in one of them. So we've literally just redone it last week. Never noticed it.
You know that thing, you must have seen that thing on the internet though, where it's like 50 words and they're all completely jumbled, but your brain can read them. It's like
Yeah.
that. You just sort of
It
see, you
was.
just don't see it, do you? But
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah. My mind did it glossed over it like every time, and then we finally clocked it. It's like, oh my
yeah.
goodness, how did we
Although,
do that?
although, dude, this is not a diss, but I did notice in the next one after that, it was still in there. I was like, hang on, we have now spotted it.
I'd already made that one.
Oh, I
That's
see, I
why
see.
the new one it's fixed. So.
Nice, nice. There you go.
Oh. But compared to those old games, though, Christmas Strike, as much as we're saying that the narration is a little bit ropey, but there's a charm to it.
Yeah,
Mm.
massive.
Christmas Nights is extremely solid, really. I mean,
Mm.
doesn't what could you point like flaw wise at it? What issues are there? As a free demo with the one boss, the two courses, two playable characters, 24 presents, 25 if you count Riala as the April Fools.
Mm.
It's come on, it's
Nothing.
perfect, isn't it?
It is. It
I
is.
I can pick one hole in it. Do you want me to be the Grinch and
Dude.
like pick the
Go on
one
then, be
hole
the
in it?
Grinch.
Dude.
I don't like Sonic's physics. That's it. That's the one thing you could say
Oh,
about it.
okay.
It's like, but the game itself, no, nothing. And actually, sorry, I'll balance it out with something positive because yeah, so we did a little short for it, and so for the first time ever, I think I was listening to it in proper headphones, and the music is just like honestly, I'd never heard how much stuff is going on because you can do the music box mode and fiddle about with like the different layers and stuff. And I guess you sort of get some appreciation of how complex it is. But yeah, I was listening to it in proper headphones and hearing all of these little sort of angel voices going on, these sort of tweaks and bells and whistles, and you're thinking, in like it's in the main tune that plays when you're playing the level, which in itself has got all these different parts. You're like, this is just so good. It's like that because that isn't, that music's not you put up with it because it's charming. It's genuinely really high quality and like yeah, I'd encourage you to grab it on headphones, even listen to our little short because it's on there and you can put it on YouTube. But just put it in through some proper headphones because like you hit there's so many layers that you don't get through the telly, and it's really just beautiful. So
Yeah,
there you go.
the music is immaculately designed in the main game and Christmas Nights because you
Mhm.
have the whole A life feeds into how the music and the mood
Yeah, yeah,
works,
yeah.
doesn't it? So I don't think I've actually heard the Christmas Nights one, but I'm assuming that it works a similar way. I don't know if Dips, if you've experienced it in Christmas Nights where if you attack all the Nighttopians and they all get grumpy and start making the music all miserable and sinister, but if you keep
Yeah.
breeding them, they get all happy and it uplifts the music. But I never saw that in Christmas Nights myself. But I don't know. Did you get a chance to?
In Christmas nights, actually, I'm not entirely sure thinking about it. It's
I've never
yeah, I mean,
noticed it.
like, there's the tune plays like right through, but I don't remember if it changes actually very much. I mean, it's because it's like all the music in the main game is like broken up into kind of six kind of columns, isn't it?
Mm.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
like, you can play around with it in the music box and like move them around, kind of make your own composition. But the actual one that plays on Christmas nights. That's a good point. I'm not sure actually thinking about it. I know
Yeah.
one thing that was really weird actually is when I got to Gilwing, there was no sound when I was playing it. Is that a thing? Like the music, I mean the sound effects were playing, but I was getting like no music and I've had it
No,
like a few times and I
I'm
don't
sure
know if
there's
something's going
music.
wrong
Yeah.
somewhere.
There's
Sure
music
there's
in my
music.
one.
Yeah, something's
Are
gone wrong
you
somewhere.
are you on a disc or on a ODE?
I've had it on disc and using Saru as well.
Oh. So I
Yeah,
remember
so
my
I don't
Sega
know if
Rally used
something.
to do that. Like I'd be halfway around a course and the music, everything else would carry on, and it was
Yeah,
because
I
the
mean,
disc
I think it's only happened a few times, but yeah, no, I just wondered. Yeah,
that ain't no
because
good. Then
I
that ain't
was
no
like,
good.
wait, am I losing my mind, or is there like supposed to be music playing right now or something?
You
Yeah.
don't know whether maybe me and Dan have had a chat and like actually there is no
It's
music.
been
We're just winking at
You
each other through
messing
the
with me,
camera. Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Oh
No, there's music,
man.
dude. Yeah, no, it's weird. Yeah, and Santa walks around as well. You get
got
him
him.
right. Yeah,
Wait,
yeah.
what? Are you serious? Oh
Yeah, sorry,
man.
dude. If that's not happening for you, something's up. Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna have to ask you both now. What's your favorite Christmas present in the game? So, Betcha, I'll come to you first. Favorite Christmas present?
Tricky one because it's weird considering what I just said, but my instinctive reaction is to say Sonic because it was so cool. Like just the idea that he was there. But Hmm. I think my last year it was the link attack, which is a really boring answer, but it was so useful because it was genuinely like, when you're trying to like perfect your paraloops and trying to just get the flow and feel of the game back, it's just such a useful thing to have. Very boring answer, but it's like it may be that. But
That would have been up there for me, definitely,
yeah.
because I think it was the link attack where after I kind of muddled through the main game and I went back to Christmas nights and did the link attack and managed to get like 100 links and more and started building up, I was like, oh, that's
Yeah.
how it works. And then all of
Mm.
a sudden it's like
Yeah,
light
yeah.
bulb moment and I could go back and then
That is so true. Yeah.
improved how I played the rest of Christmas nights and the main game.
Because obviously as a game, it is a bit of a concept that a lot of people that don't invest much time in it won't get. And actually Link Attack almost is a bit of a, just do that for 20 minutes and just see how you go. Because once you get it, once you clicked with it and you've kind of dialed in, you're like, oh yeah, like I feel it. Like, do you know what I mean? You sort of feel it coming through your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dibs, what about you? Favorite Christmas
Y-
nights, Christmas present?
Mine has to be the music box because I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
music so much. It was like when I was a kid and I heard the soundtrack to Nights, it was like just something else. And I was kind of in my mid-teenage years. We'd grown up listening to grunge and everything was a bit down and depressing. And then Nights just really elevated my mood and stuff. And it was like, I used to like put it onto cassette so I could listen to it on my bus journeys and stuff like that. And it was like, it made my day. So then having music box and just being able to play around with it like like I was saying about moving all the different
Mm,
parts, kind of making your own composition and just kind of appreciating it because it was because like each of those parts has to join on to whatever part you put next and stuff, and it's like it's really very clever really because it's like there's so many variants
Mm.
of what could happen, and and it was it's just some of my favorite music, just like stuff like Suburban Museum, the one that plays on Soft Museum.
yeah.
It's just, oh man, I have moments listening to that kind of stuff. It's like there's like magic in that stuff or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I love doing, like just chucking on a pair of headphones, playing around with that, kind of listening to the tunes and stuff. So when that opened up and I realized what you could do with it, it was like, oh wow, this is like amazing. Because yeah, like I
No,
say,
Yeah.
it's
It's brilliant.
just brilliant
yeah,
because, yeah, what you said there about, we were all of that age when we were all similar ages and this sort of like cheery poppy sort of stuff,
yeah,
especially with Dreams. Dreams wasn't kind of the stuff
yeah.
that we'd like be listening to on, I was into, like
I
grunge and Nirvana and
I
stuff.
very nearly had Dreams as my wedding song when we left the church, but I got overruled. So.
Yeah, I would have been tempted, but I was trying to show it to my wife, but it wasn't on Spotify at the time. And
Oh man.
Where
um,
would you go, dude? What would you pick up?
what would I pick out? So I will go for the Sonic the Hedgehog one. And even though it was pretty janky and it's just
Yeah.
like the way it plays is it's just weird. It doesn't. I think
Yeah.
Bo Bales actually did a mod recently where
Oh
like
yeah. Yeah.
you run up to the idiot chamber and you free Sonic and Sonic kind of flies around. I think the
Yeah.
next step is to make him like Supersonic and fly around and then that's like
Oh
that'll be like
yeah.
complete. But yeah, it's just it just kind of works and you run around and you jump at the balls and stuff and it's kind of like
Mm.
open world then, isn't it?
Mm.
Which is it's just cool at the time to be playing as a 3D
Mm.
Sonic. But I think it's kind of the thrill of seeing 3D Sonic, and then when you get to the boss, and it's basically Dr. Robotnik as Puffy, and it's got the Sonic
Mm.
CD boss music playing,
Yeah, that is
and
cool. Yeah.
and the opera part that comes into that just works so perfectly with it. Where it's going,
Yeah, it does
oh.
actually. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
always
because
forget
it was
about that. Yeah.
originally. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, no, I was going to say I always forget about the boss change, but like, yeah, that is it's just another layer on top of how cool all this stuff, isn't it? Yeah, go on, Dish, what you saying?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like originally it was that big opera kind of singer, wasn't it? That like the
Yeah,
big ball kind of thing you have to chuck through the thing.
yeah,
So
Puffy.
yeah,
It's Puffy,
yeah.
isn't it?
It's puffy, yeah.
Yeah, is it? Yeah, my memory is so bad these
And
days.
actually, when we were prepping for that vid, I did so. So if you watch the opening, the animated sequence bit, and you know the bit where one people like lean over to help Elliot after he's fallen over,
Yeah.
whatever. One of the ladies, a bit of a larger lady, she's got a big belt on, just like Puffy's belt. So watch out for that. Like same
Ah.
design. So and I guess the idea is like, are they playing with the idea that that's all a dream and he's seen something in real life, and so that's what's in the dream? I don't know, but it's quite cool
Yeah.
anyway. So
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing though on that Sonic. So I feel bad now that I've kind of criticised physics, but like I did like the seeing all like the 3D in the mountains. It's pretty solid actually. Like
Yeah.
because obviously the thing with Nights being you're on a 2D plane within the 3D world, and so you kind of it's a bit like with Panzer and some of the others on Rails games where you're like, well, they could get away with some good graphics because they were controlling what was happening. So
Mm.
actually, when you are let loose, it is surprisingly solid how good the
Hmm.
drawing and stuff is.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And it was
Yeah.
it was interesting because of because like you say it was the first glimpse of Sonic really in 3D, wasn't it? Because we knew we were going to get a 3D Sonic game at some point, but it was like how would it work? How would it feel? Because Mario like had a smooth transition into 3D because he's not as fast and things like that. And yeah, I thought it kind of was an interesting glimpse at things to come.
I was watching
Yeah.
Dan's face when you mentioned Mario 64 because
I
you're gonna put him in a rage, man.
bet you don't hate it as much as Dave Perry from that Games Master clip.
No, I honestly don't hate Mario 64, but I just don't think it's a Mario game is my view on it. It doesn't it's the games are about rules, and the rules in Super Mario 64 are unlike any Mario game. And some of
Right.
some of the some of the some of the stage design just drives me mad. I've got a save down there at something like 60 stars, and I keep for saying to myself, I just need to roll the credits and get it over with, and that's
Yeah. I think if a
Not
game's
worth it,
making you
man.
feel that way, it's probably not clicking.
Play nights, man. I
no,
swear. I
I
don't
would
care
put,
what anyone says, it's better.
it's definitely a much more it's a much better and a much more polished game. I think. No, it's a much more focused
Yeah.
one. Like Mario 64, man. I was doing that star you have to get at the top of like the haunted house, and you have to do that stupid long jump, and half the time you can just kind of spoon it over. It's just like, what maniac designed this? It's like a procedurally generated. Oh, we just stick the star up here and we won't play test it. But anyway, let's not get into
Yeah.
that. Anyway, I suppose it's over to me now for
Mm.
for Christmas game number 3, and I'm just going to go straight in with this one because just be finished editing a video for it for the channel on it. Obviously, been playing it a lot, and that is Snatcher, a game that does take place at Christmas time. Has its own rendition of Jingle Bells, its own detailed lived-in world. It is kind of like the Shenmue of its time in a way because you do you see kind of Christmas unfold in front of you, and then it's like you get to a certain point and it's like, oh, there's that Santa hanging around handing out tissues.
Yeah.
You go, hang on in a minute, you're not Santa Claus. What do you mean? And it's all like it all ties into the story because the snatchers can only come out in the winter because
Mm.
their skin's sensitive to the sun, and like it's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
what have you guys all got sun cream for in the middle of winter? And that's
Mm.
like the telltale sign.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like I was just saying to you before we started recording, Dibs. I came into Snatcher late. I didn't get Mega CD until some years ago, like about 6 or 7 years ago. Got Snatcher about 4 years ago. That was the first time I played it, and as soon as I put it on, I was completely hooked. That intro is just immaculate. It's just, if you're a fan of like 80s sci-fi and Blade Runner and Terminator and RoboCop and all that sort of stuff, and then you see like the Blade Runner inspired
Mm.
buildings, the Terminators in the intro, and then that jazz like diddle it, diddle it,
Oh yeah, that sax and stuff. Oh man, that is like sweet.
and I was just like I was hooked, and now it's like a tradition for me now. I play it pretty much every like Christmas because yeah, it's just the snow starts falling. I'm just like, you know what? It's getting to that time of the year where the Snatchers are coming out. I've got to deal with them. So
You're
I know
testing my memory now. When the snow comes down, is that some kind of radiation though that like disguises
it's pollen, isn't
Merry
it?
Christmas?
It's
You're gonna
pollen.
die.
Yeah, I think it's pollen. Yeah.
Oh yeah, pollen.
but
Oh man,
uh,
what a beaut to pick though, because I mean,
mm,
we absolutely adore Snatcher, both of us, and it's like it's just a beautiful game. And obviously at the time, I had no idea about Kojima and any other sort of, I didn't know any history. To be honest, didn't even pick up on that till way, way later. But the story's cracking, the characters are cracking. I just think it's a wonderful game. And a Christmas one, I think you're starting a new debate with this, yeah, because it's like I wouldn't necessarily always think of it directly at Christmas, but you're bang on. And again, it's got that magic though. It's just got that brilliant thing.
mm.
And obviously, as a teenager, not now as a mature adult, but as a teenager, the idea of going to a strip bar in the Christmas, brilliant, yeah, happy days.
I thought you were going to say that Katrina getting out the shower scene where she's in a towel or something, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dodgy ground we could be going, especially with the missus next door listening in, going, "Oh, really? Oh, I see. That's what it's like, is it?"
I thought you were going to talk about the girl that gets snatched, that Lisa. I can't remember her second name now. I played through the game twice in like the last couple of
Yeah.
weeks. But like in the
Nelson,
she's
is it? No,
I
Freddie.
think
Freddie Nelson.
yeah,
Is
it's
she
Freddie.
supposed
It's
to be
Freddie.
married?
Yeah, Freddie and Lisa Nelson,
Yeah,
isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah. That's
Because
right.
you
Yeah, the green hair
yeah,
girl.
because you only see her because she's like that because she had her
Yeah.
face
Oh yeah.
ripped, and then
Is she the one whose mouth opens really wide? I can't remember.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then you have to kind of shoot her. And
Yeah.
then you you go into the bathroom, look in the mirror, and the husband's standing behind you.
Mm.
But
That
yeah,
is
in the
such a good scene, man. That's so
yeah,
good. Oh, it gives me chills just thinking about it.
but yeah, in the PC Engine version, she like when you shoot her head off, like there's a side by side comparison on Wikipedia, and it's like she's got her dress pulled down, so it's like you got a bit of Android nipple hanging out. But then
Yeah.
obviously they covered it up in the Mega CD version.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. She's an android. It's fine.
Exactly. They could have argued that one, I reckon.
Like that wasn't. I don't know if you two had the same, but obviously, again at the time, no like internet or no sort of widespread internet at the time. So I had no concept of there being other versions or earlier versions.
Yeah,
It was a Mega CD game for us, and it was like, and so later, like, when you started to see them, it's fascinating. It's almost like people that have lived in an alternate dimension playing their version of Snatcher.
yeah,
Especially, I don't know which one it is. It's probably the main one, but yeah, Gillian's like a lot older. Like because in the Meg CD one, he's quite baby face, isn't he? He's got
yeah.
like quite a round, like sort of cute young face. And I think it's in the original. He's like got quite a square jaw, and he looks quite haggard, and he's like got lines on his face and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, it gives you a really weird feeling. It is like a parallel universe where Snatcher just looks a bit different. It's like, oh, I don't like it.
And Katrina's like 14 rather than 18, which just makes it really
Yeah,
weird.
well, when
Oh,
I
that
said
does,
dodgy
yeah.
grounds, that was what I was thinking.
I think my recommendation to Gillian in our video was stay away from that one, mate.
Yeah, it's like you can understand aging her up to 18 given that scene, but it's just like
Yeah.
I always laugh at it like the Lisa Nelson line there with the dress down. I was thinking little bit of nipple unacceptable, blown up head and blood everywhere, that's absolutely fine.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
Oh
it's
man.
like
But I always
examine
think though,
corpse. Yeah, go on.
I mean, I always think this actually, like these days, a lot of people playing it through will kind of like wince a bit. Some of Gillian's like smutty remarks and him getting the seed and stuff. I think genuinely they walked the line. They played a bit, and Gillian is not celebrated for being smutty. He's constantly like berated and told he's like, he's sort of put down. He doesn't come across as like that is not the hero part of his character. That's the bad. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, there's all this grief about it. I'm like, no, actually, I think they get it pretty right. Apart from Katrina bit 14,
yeah.
yeah. But like, I think with his character, the idea is he is a bit of a clown. He is a bit like you're not meant to like idolize the way he behaves, even though
Yeah,
maybe as a
he's like
teenager we
he's like a
did, but, like,
goofball, isn't
he's a
it?
goofball, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like Mika is like laughing at him really. Kind
Yeah.
of
they all
like
kind
with
of
the way
laugh
she
at him,
toys
yeah.
with him. Yeah.
Although he does do quite well in the end, doesn't he? Isn't it
Yeah,
like in
he's
the
got all
final
three of
scene
them
where he's got
round.
all three of them? Like
Yeah,
it's like
they're queuing up.
old Gillian Seed. I remember like the actor that played him. Like he didn't have much of a career afterwards, but he was in an episode of Chicago Fire, and it's really weird. Like he's just in it for like 2 minutes. I think he gets hit by a car or something, and then hearing him talk, and his voice is coming out of some real person for one, like this old, and it's like, oh my god, you're Gillian Seed. So yeah, weird.
Yeah, it's part of like his character, I think, is that it just makes him more relatable. Not just
Yeah,
because we're all perverts, but because it's just like he's a flawed individual, isn't he? He obviously can't
yeah,
control himself, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
and as you say, he gets berated for it all the time.
Mm.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's funny because obviously I played it like fairly recently, but you guys, you both play it back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you
Well,
go on.
our friend Chris, he was the one who originally bought it, and I remember I went round his house this one day, and like he just was playing it, and it was like he just puts the control in my hand, like give this a go, and I kind of looked at it, and I kind of recognized it from magazines, like I was saying to you earlier, Dan, about the some of the
Yeah,
screenshots I had seen and that, like but yeah, I was kind of like not really too interested in it, like the graphic novel style kind of thing. I hadn't played anything like that. I was into like Street Fighter and Sonic and things like that, and seeing these kind of static screens. But the second, like you say, the intro starts playing and you kind of like the story starts unraveling itself, it was like, I was totally there in the moment.
yeah.
And it was, I mean, it had a little bit of combined hype for me as well, actually, because like, and this is gonna sound weird actually saying that now, because my sister had literally destroyed my Mega CD by playing a Super Nintendo, putting a Super Nintendo cable into the
Yeah,
back of it, and it blew it up. So I just lost my Mega CD, but at the same time, I kind of had done all these kind of equations in my head and realized that if I save this insurance money that I would then get, then there's a Christmas coming, and then there's a birthday coming, and I would have enough money next year to get a Sega Saturn, and so like I had that hype like going on at the same time I was playing Snatcher, and it all kind of like just made this like awesome memory and this great moment, and like. Whether that enhanced my enjoyment of Snatcher, I don't know, but I certainly don't think it would have dampened things
no.
anyway. But yeah,
Well, what an 8 months that would have been because Snatcher was December 94 and obviously the Saturn released in July 95.
that's
And
right. Yeah,
wow, you think of what Sega did in that time with
I know
I know.
between
it's
the
nuts,
release.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
We had the
Time just felt longer in those days. It was like I know we were all younger and like we less years had elapsed, so 5 years didn't mean as much as it does nowadays. But yeah, they really did cram it in, didn't they?
Do you remember where you got Snatcher from? I'm not thinking. I can't imagine where would have sold Snatcher, but you obviously got it from
Oh,
somewhere.
I think he got it from Woolworths. Like
That's
literally,
so
Woolworths
that's
were
so
selling it.
nuts.
Yeah,
That is so
he just went
nuts.
uptown to and like yeah, got it from Woolworths. Came home and there it was. So
Yeah.
yeah, 'cause, I mean, I even remember seeing stuff like Mega Man: The Wily Wars in Woolworths and things like that. And that's like goodness knows how much that is nowadays. Like
oh God,
I haven't even checked in a while because
those
I kind
two.
of like lost
It's just the
count.
idea,
But
all those videos you see on Twitter of like people with amazing collections and stuff, well, like yours in the background, that, and like, but these classic titles that are so rarefied, you have to be a true collector, and it's like it was in Woolworths. It just blows my
yeah,
mind. It's just like,
it's really weird, huh?
yeah,
Yeah,
it was the classic one for me where I just rode on Dibbs' coattails though, because he had there were so many games that I played round his house, and like Snatcher was, yeah, I never would have played that game if you hadn't had your Mega CD. I mean, I never would have played a
Hmm.
Mega CD if you hadn't had it. It's just like, yeah, I mean, hearing all the things you went through to get the consoles, which we've been talking about more recently, I'm like, I do feel a bit guilty how much I basically just scavenged off your collection and stuff, but.
Oh, you were welcome to. We had a really good time playing all these things.
It's great, like, because we did have like I just remember, we had save games on your machine. Do you remember,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and it's
I
like
think
for
I've still
that,
got a copy of Zelda with all of our save games from the
yeah.
90s on it or something.
oh,
Somehow it's
that's
not
amazing.
died.
It's just
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
so nice, though, isn't it? In fact, Do you know what reminded me of that was when on the Xbox 360 when you could download your profile onto someone else. You go around your mate's house, connect to the internet, download your profile onto theirs, and that kind of had that same vibe. It's nice, but it's it's a good thing to do with your mates. But yeah, good
Yeah,
stuff that was.
makes me think of I've got a copy of Micro Machines 2 Turbo Tournament up there,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's got all this because I remember one of the claims is like battery backup lasts 100 years, and it's my childhood copy, and we went through a phase when we were working in like the year 2000, and we play that at like lunchtime because we worked around the corner, and it's got all of our save data in there, and we all chose a
Oh
character, and we
yeah.
obviously gave them all really terrible un-PC names, which I can't say on the podcast, but they're all still on there.
Right.
Me and my family were going to play it, and I put the cart in, and I was got scrolling through. I was like, "Oh, right, let's play '96 instead."
Oh man, that's funny.
I remember giving my Final Fantasy VII characters bad names, and actually, I don't think you were particularly impressed because again, it was on your PlayStation that I was saving these. So, and they were, I mean, they were some were rude and some were just stupid. And I think I don't know if it was you or if it was Damo that just got really pissed off. It's like, oh, why are you calling him that? That's so stupid. So when Remake came out, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it again. Oh, I can't
Oh,
do
you
it.
can't do it.
Brutal.
So it reminds me, do you remember the episode of Friends when Phoebe fills the Pac-Man machine, like high scores up with
Yeah,
like swear words, and Ross's kid is coming around or something, and
yeah,
he's saying, "Get those scores off of there, you have to beat
yeah.
the scores or whatever."
He's got like claw hands, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I was asking about Snatcher though when you first played it because obviously when I played it later on, I got all the Metal Gear references. And I'm like,
Oh
oh, Metal
yeah.
Gear, and then like
Mm.
there's the Tara theme playing. Oh, and he's mentioning Foxhound, and that's Out of
Yeah.
Heaven. You guys
Yeah.
must be like,
Yeah,
why
no,
does
it
that
was
mean nothing
I
to me?
got that when I played Metal Gear Solid. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is all this stuff is in Snatcher.
Yeah. I
Oh,
didn't
so
know
It's
there
the
cool.
was
other way
a
That's so
around.
cool.
same. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know there was Metal Gear lore before Snatcher. So same, like when
Yeah,
Metal Gear came out, I was like, oh my god, like one, it's the name.
yeah.
It's called Metal Gear. It's like, yeah, I'm not sure if I clocked that at all. But obviously playing it through, like playing it back now, it's sort of a once a year kind of game.
Yeah.
It'll get dusted off, and but all that stuff comes flooding back. You sort of do relive it again for the first time. I always forget like how the plot goes and stuff. And I say one thing I've never done, like I've never played it with the gun. If either of you two played it with the
Hmm.
gun,
I haven't, no.
No, I wanted to because I got a justifier in
Oh.
Japan earlier this year. I think I've got it. Got it down here. I've got this Lethal Enforcers
oh yes,
box. It's like 50 quid, and I looked on eBay and how much they're going for on there, and it was immaculate. The game was actually sealed.
Oh
Um,
wow.
and I opened it. I was just like, yeah, I want to play
Yeah,
you. So
yeah. Games are meant to be played.
rowdy man, rowdy.
yeah, so I've got the Justifier, and I was like, oh, I really want to play Snatch with the Justifier. But then when it came to playing it, I was like, do you know what? We need a Christmas video for the channel, so I'm going to play Snatcher, and that
Mm.
means I have to put it on the LCD, and that means I can't use the Justifier. But
Oh right, yeah,
I
yeah, of
know.
course.
Actually, weirdly, just earlier today, completely unrelated, but I was reading about the Cinder light gun and sort of thinking, oh man, like, because last time I looked, I swear it was like 200 quid, and now you can get it for like 90 quid. Like,
oh, really?
yeah, that's not bad. I
That's
mean,
tempting.
I don't know what compatibility's like and stuff and whatever, but maybe.
Oh, that's tempting. Yeah, it's meant to be really good compatibility wise. I don't know how much of a faff it is to get working with some games because it replicates the mouse, doesn't it? But
Because I mean, I think the main thing is you'd have to use your PC to like play it. But then last year I played Snatcher emulated because I had an operation. I was like laid up, had the little Amber Nick handheld and played it on there. And obviously, being with the age of the game, it's just child's play for a modern computer to do it. So it would work. So
yeah.
anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
I played it back to back recently because I was saying to Dibbs before I recorded it and there was all this weird artifacting on the top of the screen. No,
Oh
and then
no.
I got to the end with like the last two kind of battles that you do, and I was
Mm.
getting absolutely annihilated. I was like, why is this so difficult? I was like, oh, I've got it on 60 hertz, and when I switched it down to 50, all the artifacting disappeared. I was like,
Oh,
oh, I
okay.
finished it off, and I was like. I'm gonna have to capture all that footage again, aren't I? So I was like, I'll just play it again. And I was like, right, I've just played it, so everything's fresh in my memory, right? And then I was like, got on to like going to Ivan, the surfer guy. And I was
Yeah.
like, right, I've got to go to his house next, knock on his door, got to investigate that, look at the power meter. It's banging on the door. It was like Metal Gear's like, doesn't look like anyone's home. We should come back later. I was like, I know he's in here. This is the next thing I need to do. It turned out I had to go back to the Gibson house, and then I had to interrupt,
Right.
go into the garden and look in the shadows with the dog and go
Oh
like, all
yeah.
right, that's
Actually, that
annoying.
is a bit of a classic moment in the game, isn't it? Where if, like there's just that one thing you've got to do to get it going. And like obviously different for you, it hadn't been quite that recently. I've replayed it, but you know it. You're in the room. You're like, I know I have to. What is it?
Yeah, it's like one option buried deep in all these this text. It's like where it's in here somewhere. It's just sifting through it, and it's like there it is.
I tell you what though, I've no idea why or how that style of gameplay is actually so fun. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
if someone describes to you how it actually plays, it doesn't sound that fun.
yeah.
It really is. I
Mm.
don't know. Yeah,
I think it's just the story and the dialogue and the
yeah,
gameplay.
I agree.
The
So
gameplay
strong.
is just you are just selecting options, but you're sifting through, and it always gives you something. You always get something out of it.
There's
It's not
always something.
like
Yeah,
in a standard point and click where you can say do like use your scum menu and say look, and you look at something and you can go point your cursor anywhere on the screen. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's nothing
Mm.
here, and you just With Snatcher, you're always getting kind of at least a line of
Mm.
dialogue. It's like even
Yeah.
when you're one of the most frustrating ones for me both times was going to Lisa Nelson. You have to kind of keep digging into the dialogue, and if you keep repeating it, she goes, "Oh, I'm getting a toothache. Will you shut up? Stop asking me questions." And then eventually you have to dig down and you have to ask her something specific about her husband, and then it triggers, "Oh, why don't you
Mm.
go into the bathroom?" And then you can move on from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, you always get something, and
yeah.
it's
You're
just like
right.
there's so many cool things like ringing up the Konami hotline when you see the
Mm.
name number on the billboard.
Yeah.
It's, uh,
And
Yeah,
and
it's
I,
cool.
and I guess
Yeah.
the music, even when you're sitting going through those sort of, the dialogue menus and like over and over again, the music's so good. It's quite fun just sitting there. So it made me think though, like because sort of saying about the style of game, it wasn't something back then I don't like ever played anything like it. And obviously there hasn't been that many similar things since like Police Noughts, I guess is the only other one that really jumps out for us. But there's loads of like visual novels on Saturn, like not necessarily this style, which was more action driven. A lot of them are sort of more like romance ones, aren't they? But
Mm.
there are so many, and I just think surely there must be some gems in there. And actually, I was like reading, Beat 21. They've started
yeah,
like revamping it and stuff. So and they've been running like a Saturn 30th birthday, like well, not a competition, like a reader poll, like sort of nominating your favorite games. And all of our Western hits, all of our favorites for the reader poll, it's like 200 games ranked. They're all like down
yeah,
20, 30 down. And all the top 20 are like visual novels and
Mm.
like, romance games. It's like, surely if they're ranking them that high, there must be some gems in there. And
yeah.
obviously, we'd need translations and stuff to even have a crack at any of them. But yeah, maybe. I mean, Sakura Wars, I guess, was this sort of most recent thing that's even in the same like area,
Yeah.
and it is cracking. And it's like similarly sort of smutty jokes and stuff
Yeah.
in the main character. Maybe that's the thing I really like about these games.
Oh yeah, just give us the Japanese smut. But yeah,
Yeah,
Snatcher. Yeah, to me, it's a Christmas game in the same way that Die Hard's a Christmas film.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
yeah, I'll give
Yeah,
it to that.
totally.
I mean,
I
I'd
would
give it to you
totally.
whatever you said because I love it so much. So you could have said, "Oh, it's an Easter game. We'll come back at Easter. It's an Easter game.
We
Yeah,
get an
play it
Easter
again.
Island, get
Oh,
the Easter
without
Island mask,
question.
don't you? So it's an Easter game as well.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Or
true.
you can put the mummy mask on and makes it a Halloween game. There we go.
Exactly,
It's a
exactly.
game for all seasons.
What a genius game it is.
All the bases are covered.
Oh, so that's me and Snatcher. So, Dibs, will come back to you. So another Sega game to play at Christmas. What have you got?
Okay. So actually, this one that I've got in mind is like it's not like out and out Christmassy, but it had a Christmas element that was really fascinating to me back in the day, and that was Sonic Adventure, the original one on Dreamcast. And you probably can guess where I'm going, but it was the first time I ever downloaded something for a game. And it was the Christmas kind of pack that they kind of put into it. So you had like the tree come up in the square and stuff like that. And I was just absolutely in awe of like that you could now do this thing where it would change a game. I mean, like obviously it went to some dark places later on with some of the, but like just being in the right hands like that, that was a really nice touch, and I just thought that was so cool. And Sonic Adventure just kind of, yeah, I always think of like downloading that at Christmas and playing that game and just like having a blast and things. So yeah, that's the one that's kind of coming to my mind right now. So like I say, not out and out Christmassy like all the way through, but like when they add those elements, that was pretty cool.
It was purpose built for Christmas. I think
Mm.
it's pretty. I mean, obviously, it's the slippery slope to horse armor, and what comes
Right,
beyond that.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And we are where we are today with Fortnite dances and,
Yeah.
and stuff. But honestly, like, how cool was it to download that back in the day? Because and really, it baffles my mind, because there we are today. You get Call of Duty Black Ops 6 on Xbox Game Pass. You have to download the Call of Duty app, and you have to get 250 gigs of storage to
Yeah,
actually play
crazy.
the game. How did they manage to get this tiny little? Because it basically transformed all of Station Square and a few bits
Yeah.
around. You know, how did they get all that data just on the VMU storage? Because the VMUs, they didn't have an awful lot of
No,
capacity.
Yeah,
tiny,
they were
aren't they?
very small, really, weren't they? But yeah, no, there it all was, and and it like you say, it was like just decorate the place, looked amazing, and I think as well like a little bit of because in the casino you have the knights pinball table kind of
Yeah,
thing. And it was like, that connection as well in my mind because nights equals Christmas nights to me and things like that.
yeah.
It just kind of all combined just to give an overall kind of Christmassy
Yeah.
vibe to me and that. So yeah.
And isn't it, weren't you saying to me, I'm going to get this wrong now, isn't one of the tunes that gets plays when you go up to the Christmas trees, isn't one of those a Knight's remix or something? If I got that wrong, you're looking at me blankly. I think
I can't
it's good
remember.
Yeah, I can't
music
remember.
anyway. Yeah.
No,
And
there's
then,
I
nothing coming to me, so
well, here's another one we got to fact check as well because I read this. I think it's on the Dreamcast Junkyard site that if you've not played past a certain point in Sonic Adventure, you're none yet. At least I got this one right. So, but yeah,
yeah.
and you get the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree lands on the card you need to get
yeah,
into the subway or something, doesn't it? So you then can't progress in the game.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
it
like,
blocks
yeah,
you.
Yeah, so after A is it after Amy gets kidnapped and you get the like the little card come down and ding, and then you can go get the card and you unlock the speed highway stage.
Mm.
Like the shutter comes up, but because of where the Christmas tree lands, you can't get the card. It's just
Yeah.
it's just so Sega.
Yeah. Oh man.
But actually, yeah, slippery slope. I was thinking that when he's like true, it's like it is a Pandora's box moment, I suppose, like the first DLC. But again, though, freebies and giveaways and like just doing stuff to just because it like makes it more fun. That was it started with good intentions. Let's put it that way, and then
It was free, right? I mean,
yeah,
you didn't have to pay for the Christmas or festive DLC that came with it,
Mm.
and it was just yeah, as you say, it's just a nice bit of harmless fun, just really amped up the Christmas atmosphere. But I
yeah,
think what you're saying, Dib, was about the Knights pinball table, and I think even with the ice cap zone, there's something about
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure that's quite festive anyway. And I
Mm.
think it probably is because in Japan it came out in December '98, and obviously when it got localized over here, it was September. So you kind of got that period leading into Christmas, and it
Mm.
does feel like kind of especially more than say like the original Sonic, which launched in the middle of the summer. Adventure does
Sure.
feel like a festive game, doesn't it? And then you add that
yeah,
DLC on top, and it's just like there we go, it's
Yeah, yeah,
perfect.
yeah. That's
yeah.
it. That's
And I
it.
think
That's the icing on the cake.
me was saying this earlier as well. For me, Dreamcast is well. I got both my Saturn and my Dreamcast as Christmas presents, and so Dreamcast for me, Sonic Adventure and Jet Set were the two games I got with it, and they both have that same vibe. It's obviously I don't think with Jet Set you could get a less Christmassy game, but like it still reminds me. I can still take myself back to my grandparents' house, like in this little annex place. Like, and my uncle had this amazing TV actually, and so he's just actually again. Remember you said about you plugging your Virtua Fighter 2 into the 32-inch CRT.
Yeah.
So you got the upgrade to the Saturn at the same time. Same. Like I went. It was the first time playing on. I think it must have been a plasma telly, and it was like this. No, would it have been? Anyway, in a really good telly. No, it was a JVC like CRT actually. And it was like, so I went to Dreamcast to the cell shading Jet Set on that telly. And it was like, oh my God. Anyway, so that feels a bit crispy, but same as Sonic Adventure. So even though I didn't have the DLC, it still reminds me of Christmas as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
See, I had to play the DLC on a friend's Dreamcast at the time because I had the Japanese. I still got my original Japanese one down there. It's my main game for playing this. But yeah, I had the Terminator module, so it doesn't have an active working modem.
Yeah.
So I couldn't get online. Not that it would have mattered on a Japanese console anyway, because it would have been like, well, what are you doing? It's not a power console. But like, I had friends who'd got Dreamcast like for Christmas and stuff, and they downloaded the DLC, and it's just this is so cool. And obviously, years later, you know, via the magic of CDRs and you know various sites that do magic little discs images with all the game saves on, you can play it today. It's just a really cool thing to have. So yeah, it's a great show. There's something. Yeah, it's something comforting and warm about playing Sonic Adventure with that DLC installed, even if you can't progress past Speed Highway if you haven't got that far yet.
Well, I was gonna say there must be a way to get hold of it because I did try and find the VMU save the other day and couldn't find a way via internet to get it. I know Derek Pascarella's posted a few bits about how to get stuff from a PC. He's made an app, hasn't he, to get stuff from a
Yeah.
PC to VMU. And I ended up buying a VM2 actually, which is going to arrive in a couple of months. And just with a vague notion that would help me do this sort of stuff. And then actually the way it worked, so I went on the site, bought the VM2, was like, I really sort of rushed that. I better just go check this would actually work. Went on Twitter, went on Derek's Twitter page, and he just literally posted a thing saying about this app he'd done for transferring save states. So I was like, oh shit, I didn't need to buy that VM2. So anyway, yeah, but it must be out there somewhere. Like you say, just get a dodgy CDR.
Yeah, there is a disc. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I've actually got the disc stored on my GDMU, and that has like all sorts of game saves. Which is when you're trying to make content for like a game like say Shenmue or like Skies of Arcadia, you want to show a specific bit and you can't find the VMU or you don't have the VMU with those game saves on, and you're just like, right, I need this specific section to capture this bit of gameplay. Where is it? And it's perfect for that. Like I was going through Shenmue, it's got like Shenmue, you've got disc one, disc two, you've got it, and some of them have descriptions of where they say. And I'm pretty sure that was where I got. It was like an earlier version of that where I got the DLC for Sonic Adventure. I'm pretty sure I haven't done it on this one, but I'll share this name with you. And if you've got a GDMU or something, then it works really well.
Christmas tips as well. What an episode!
No, this is amazing.
We've got it all. We do it all.
It's funny you said that would be so useful as well because obviously a number of times we were making videos and I'm like, I need footage for the sort of for clips and play or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm having to like text Dibbs and go, Dibbs, can you do it? Because I haven't got to that level yet.
Well, I'm just like straight on Google, like, please let there be a level so let it die.
I know. It's like Sega Lord X was saying something similar to us when we were having a chat with him a while back, saying like when a game has like passwords, it's like an absolute lifesaver when you're trying to capture specific scenes because you're just like, I don't have time to play for the whole game again.
I know, for a 5-second snippet or something like that. Oh man.
Oh god, yeah. I can't even remember the game, but there was one. But yeah, I needed like just one scene, one bit of dialogue, and I had to play like an hour of a game to get there. I was like, this is ridiculous.
So in our videos, we've started to be very careful about what we reference because, like, we put a little bit of footage in the bottom, and it's like, please don't mention like 100 hours into Final Fantasy 9 or something like that. Like, we ain't doing that.
Well, I have an idea about what game I'm going to chuck in, and I'm going to mention a certain story that relates very much to the pain that causes you. Yeah.
I'm just trying to find the name of this disc I've got, and I'm pretty sure it's called Dream Explorer. I think
Nice.
that's what it's called.
Yeah, yeah.
So look for Dream Explorer.
Okay.
I think it gets updated pretty regularly. And yeah, that will help you with your various game save states, DLC. It's got loads on there. It's got a pretty cool memory card manager on there. So there you go.
Top
There you go.
tip.
There you
Come
go.
away
Top
with a
tip.
so Dibs, fantastic shout for that Christmas game. So Bedgell, we'll come into you, and yes, so you've got a banger, have you? What's your next Christmas
Well,
game?
I think Dibs, you probably know. After what I just said, you probably work out what I'm going to say,
Oh
and
man.
I'm going to do this more as a bit of a curveball, and we'll explain why. So probably on top of a lot of people's list for a Christmas game, but it'll be James Bond 2 Robocod. So, and I throw it in. So not obviously like a Sega game, but good. But like for me, very much is Sega game because I played it on Mega Drive. I know originally Amiga and came across whatever, but definitely Christmassy. Like the whole, plot and themes and like snowy levels and all that stuff. Christmas presents everywhere and all that stuff. And so we've been playing it recently, and it was one where I made Dibs get all the footage. I think it's fair to say we maybe enjoyed it a little bit more when we were kids and sort of
Yeah.
like came back to it. And so basically, yeah, so I made him get all the footage. We played it once through, we were having a chat again. Yeah, I didn't quite enjoy that as much as as I did the first time. And I was like, oh yeah, by the way, we need footage of the whole game. Could you
Yeah.
just play
Yes,
the
you
whole
did.
through again?
So away I went, basically practically replayed the whole game. Enjoyed it even less that time as well.
Play
And
retro games
even
for all their quality.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, that is the one time we went a little bit wrong.
It's so true though, because like I really don't there's so many games I played as a kid that I won't pick them up now because they were great and I can still have the nostalgia for them and I still love them, but I'm not going to play them because they're just have lost it. But I thought Robocod, I just remembered it being so good,
Yeah,
and
same here.
it's
Yeah, I'm the
still
same.
it's still beautiful. And as a Christmas game, because it's got such lovely graphics, and obviously it's that beautiful like Amiga style, and it's just everything's so colourful and well made and stuff. It is a lovely game to look at, but I don't know. I'll tell you one thing, it sort of wound me up that actually it has a lot of potential. It's got a lot, there's a lot to it where you think, oh, just if you had another pass at it, and obviously they made a third with that team and other devs and made another game in the series and stuff. But
They've remade it for the Switch and stuff.
Mm.
yeah, 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 it kind of
They've had several passes at this
they've had
game.
loads of games, but you just sort of think, oh, I don't know, the main mechanic, like the sort of extendable body. They could have made so much more of that, and actually,
Mm.
it's almost a frustrating mechanic because you kind of like go, you sort of go up to the roof and you edge along really slowly and stuff. But I would still say it's a classic Christmas game because it's got beautiful graphics, snowy levels, and it's still very much sort of got their thing. And I do see a lot of people on Twitter sort of posting loads of Robocod bits, but as a true classic of a game, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, I
It's
mean,
def
they did a Kickstarter, didn't they, to try and do a new one, and it didn't make its goal, did it? So
Oh,
I
No,
don't
no,
know.
true.
Maybe it's not quite as classic to people as we thought. I don't know.
I tell you what, I did love though that Robocop remix that what's his face did for the main music theme. It's like a kind of marimba version of the Robocop theme, and it's like it's really
yeah.
good.
Yeah, yeah, that was good.
Yeah, as a
Yeah.
redeeming feature, it's thin pickings, but
Yeah.
I bet,
It's
yeah,
I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, for me, as a kid, I played it on the Mega Drive, and my sister
Mhm.
had it on the Game Gear, and obviously it was on the Master System as well. So it's like the trilogy, the trinity of Sega in the 90s. It was there.
yeah,
And Bloggo is a massive James Pond critic, hater, or whatever you want to say. And I
Oh, is
remember, I
it?
remember he was saying,
Oh,
"Oh,
really?
I remember he did a video talk about James Pond." I was like, "What? James Pond ain't that bad." And I was like, at the time, I was like, "I'm buying myself a copy." I used to love it as a kid, and I played it, and I was just like, "Oh, this is not as good as I remember."
Totally. That is exactly what I experienced. Like I was like, oh yeah, like would do James Bond 2 for the book club. Like, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. And then I was playing it and it's like, what's going on here? Is this the same game? It's like, why am I not enjoying this? But
Yeah,
my copy still had like Mean Machine's review score on the front, 95% and all this stuff. I think they gave, was it 97% for playability and all this stuff,
Yeah.
saying it was
yeah.
better than Sonic and all this stuff. And Mean Machines is like my go-to trusted source and things. And I
They
was like,
did
what has
very
happened
rare they
here?
went wrong. Very
Yeah.
rare. But yeah,
I was very confused.
because I think they gave Sonic what's it, 90 or 92. It was definitely lower than
Yeah.
they gave
Yeah,
James
it
Bond 2.
wasn't 95.
And
Yeah.
obviously they played Sonic, and they do, like Jazz says in his review, like he actually directly says, yes, it is better than Sonic. And I'm like, what am I reading? It's like, I don't want to like go really slamming it. It's still like a playable game. It's just kind
Yeah.
of like, and I can still see why people would really like it because it has a charm to it. And definitely if you grew up in the kind of, again, like you could probably tell we've played this Foot Club and there's, we've had this conversation together. So, but if you grew up in the home computer scene that the devs of James Bond came through, like for C64 and onto Amiga, and like then that sort of playability, and that's what you love, then you would love this game. And I really get the impression, Jazz obviously when his CVG days and his earlier days, he is. I feel like that's where his heart is, or
Yeah, he
what.
came from the microcomputer
Yeah,
scene, didn't he, with the
Yeah.
early CVGs and stuff
and I
like
think
that. Yeah.
I think for him, it almost felt like, funny thing to say, but almost a throwback to what for him was like the golden era, and then like,
Yeah.
but beautiful in the same way that these days, if someone made a game that has the feel of a Dreamcast or Saturn game, we'd probably be in raptures about it, even if
Yeah.
like the kids would be like, Dad, what is this nonsense? But yeah, it's still, I'm not going to slate it too much. I mainly threw it in just because I wanted to wind up Dibs because
Yeah.
he
No,
like,
when we played it for the book club, I enjoyed it more than the second time when I was recording the footage for it, because it's like the second time I played it, it was actually winding me up because it was like I sort of didn't feel like it was that hard the first time I played it, but then it was like I was finding it much more tricky, and that just added layers to it. So I was
I,
really in a
yeah, I
bad
think it's good.
mood.
I think it gets more workmanlike when you get to that phase, isn't it? I mean, even
Yeah, yeah.
even even with Snatcher, where I had to play it again to capture footage, and like I said, when I was on, that guy's door banging on the door. I was like, "No, this bit works,"
Right.
and I was getting really wound up. And I was
Yeah.
just like, "Come on, just let me capture the footage. I need to capture the Santa I've seen."
This guy just does not understand. It's like, come on, Freddy. No, whatever his name was.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
I
let's
think
just
that
use that.
contributes.
Let's just use that to give one little extra shout out to Knights, because that isn't it amazing? You think actually, the more you play Knights, the better it gets. Like it's just
Yeah,
anyway. Sorry, just can't help praising
it's
it.
so true.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that probably contributed. I mean, I love playing Snatcher again, and yeah, I can imagine going through that fatigue with James Bond. He's like, I just need to capture this footage.
Yeah, it was
It
that
can't
because
help.
we'd referenced it and stuff, and we were like talking about the end boss and stuff. I was like, man, I gotta get to the end boss. And it was like, oh, yeah, but like I
It's
say, there was a level select kind of thing that you could unlock all the doors. So I was like, thank goodness for that. It's like straight
yeah,
to the end. But
but
yeah,
it is a quintessentially Sega Christmas game. There
yeah,
it does
it
get a
is.
lot right about the feel and stuff. And I think if you can forgive kind of the jankiness of the control and the level design, which like you were saying, Besh, it's not the worst. It's not
Yeah,
terrible. It's just
yeah,
not
yeah.
very good.
yeah.
If you can
And
get over
again,
that, it's quite. There's
yeah.
another game I've got on my list that probably fits that description as well.
And again, it's what you're saying. It's something about Christmas where sometimes a bit crap is a bit good. Because,
Yeah.
like I was watching, I've watched a few this year actually. I was watching a Channel 5 Christmas film the other day, and they're awful, aren't they? I mean, they have about three or four of these like Christmas rom-coms, but I was like doing some ironing. It's how sad my life is. I was doing some ironing, like watching this Channel 5 movie, and I was just like, oh, this is so bad, it's good. And it's
Yeah.
really like, at Christmas that can happen. And, mate, I think
Yeah.
it's in that camp. It's like, it's
It's
got
interesting.
enough Christmas vibes that I'll forgive it a lot of
Yeah.
its gameplay sins.
Yeah. I know you kind of forgive the fact that they does feel a little bit janky
Mm.
just because it's Christmas, isn't it? We
Yeah.
Yeah.
watched we've watched some awful Christmas films over the years.
It's interesting to see where these celebrities go in there later. later years, it's like, oh, this is what Heather Graham's doing now, or something like that,
Actually, yeah. Saying that, I guarantee you, some of the voice actors from our games are in these films. That's where they've ended up. Yeah.
Oh man. Right. Yeah. So James Bond, yeah, not James Bond 2, RoboCop, not the best, but it's definitely festive. It's definitely
Yeah.
your B movie
Mm.
video game.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I think that's still a fair shout, and commiserations,
Yeah.
Dibs, for having to go through the rigmarole of recording it all.
Sorry, dude.
It's
Right.
forgiven, don't worry.
Back to me, and I'm looking at a choice between the jank and the jank. So I'm gonna go with oh. I'm going to go with Home Alone on the Mega Drive. Have you guys played Home Alone
I
on the
have,
Mega Drive?
yeah.
Oh, I played it on the Game Boy. I don't know how similar those games actually are. I don't
Yeah.
remember it on it. Yeah.
So I never played it that much back in the day, but my wife did. And
Ooh.
when I started getting all the retro consoles all set up, like back up, a number of years ago, that was one where she was, oh, what about Home Alone? I used to love playing that as a kid, and I just remember it getting like absolutely trashed in reviews, and yeah, it's pretty janky. You go around. It's so odd because Kevin McAllister goes around when you're kind of in this sort of open world going between the houses. He just gets on his sled, but obviously it doesn't control like a sled. It just sort of moves around
Where's it got a
around the
motor on
back.
the back or something? Because
It
it makes
seems
like
like
a kind of motor. It's like motorized, isn't it? I don't know if it's like stuck at some kind of fan on the back, like those things that go through the swamps or whatever.
Yeah,
But like,
it is. It
it's
really
very
is weird.
peculiar, isn't it?
A big fan on the back.
Yeah, yeah. There's something going on anyway. It ain't a normal sled, so.
No, no. Well, we didn't get it for Christmas. I got it for Christmas for my wife, and she was playing it for like a couple of hours in the morning and just couldn't get anywhere with it. And I picked it up and I put it on the easy setting, but I managed to play through it and beat it like first time around. And I actually quite enjoyed it. And then I went back to the
Hmm.
higher difficulties. And yeah, it's really janky, but there is some kind of cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the platforming in it is not great. It's really weird. It's like you're doing an acid trip when you see all like the vacuum cleaners all like
Right.
moving around and stuff. But then when you get to like, you gather in materials and you can create your traps and stuff and build weapons and stuff, and then you get the wet bandits. That's
Mm.
actually it's done quite well. Is probably stretching it a bit, but it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
pretty cool
I know,
how
yeah,
how
I
that
know what you
translates.
mean. It's like, I mean, imagine it was the only video game ever made. It's quite cool. It's like, you know what I mean? There is a sense like when the two crook guys, the wet bandits, like coming
Yeah,
after you, like of that sense of danger and trepidation. It's like it adds something,
yeah,
although it does kind of take it away a little bit. I don't know if you ever noticed, but if you start they're coming towards you, you start walking up the stairs a bit, and then you walk back down, it's like they've forgotten you exist. They just
yep,
start walking away again.
yeah.
Like it's like
They
one of
start
the
walking
quirks of
left to
video games.
right, don't they? It's just like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
slow.
It's like where'd that dude go? Oh, I must be gone then. So...
It is really ropey, you can tell that it was probably just given to some team, just like here's $100,000. You've got six
Yeah.
weeks to make a game.
Yeah. It's the ET of the Mega Drive or something. I
Hey,
don't
yeah,
know.
it
I
really
think
isn't that bad.
it's like that with a
Yeah.
lot of the film titles. Hang on, sorry. Yeah, it's just those sort of things. When we were talking, what was it? Master of Darkness. We were talking about Sims, who made it. It's that kind of dev house, isn't it? Where they just chuck it and they say, "Look, we just need something. Just put the badge on it." Because it was, was it there? We also did the Outrun 2019 or like the Future Outrun or whatever it's called, and they had their own game. It was just like this random futuristic driving game, and they literally just changed the title screen. And
Yeah,
it's like that with these, like you were saying about the motorized sled and stuff. It's like they don't care what's actually in the film. They're just literally like,
Well, that's it. I
just
mean, I
make
don't think there
something.
was.
Yeah.
I don't think there was actually any Christmas stuff in it except for the snow outside the houses. But you kind of like go. I mean, they've changed the dynamic a bit from the movie because you have to defend the neighborhood, don't you?
yeah,
So it's not just your one house. So you're going into your neighbors' houses and putting traps everywhere. And one of them is just like this futuristic kind of
yeah.
place with like these like tunnels. Like, no, what is it? I don't even know what you call it. It's like. you'd imagine it on like Star Trek or something. It's like a glass pipe
Like
you
something
go in and you
out
get.
the Jetsons, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's something like that. But it was like, yeah, this definitely ain't like the movies.
Like I say, like this is one I haven't played, not the Mega Drive one. So hearing it described is like this is just what I'm picturing is just insane.
Yeah, you got to play it, Bedgell. I mean, just
I will,
get
yeah.
into the festive spirit and just play some
Yeah,
jank Home Alone. It's
yeah.
I'm
it's
really
really surreal in some bits.
I'm not really up for it now. It's like you say, it's that thing again. It's that Christmas jankiness. It's like I just I've got weirdly excited about playing it now. Even
You got to experience the weird futuristic house and the weird
Yeah.
floating pot frying
Jetsons
pans and
type.
hoovers and stuff that attack you. It's just like what's going to attack Kevin McAllister? If it's the wet bandits are obviously the main villains, but he needs some other stuff, and it's just like it's just throwing a load of random crap, candles that fall down and stuff. It's weird. But yeah,
Oh
it's a
man.
Christmas game. It's Home Alone.
Hmm.
It's on the Mega
Yeah,
Drive, and yeah, even though it's a
Yeah.
bit of jank, I think if you like the films, there's enough there. I think Dibs, don't they fill up the sink as well? Don't you have to stop the houses from flooding? It's been a while now, actually.
Oh, is that? Yeah, I can't quite remember.
I
I mean,
think
I
they
remember
do.
waiting.
oh, like they're doing the film. Yeah,
I was just sad because I don't think they had the zip line bit. I was thinking the
No,
zip line bit's got to be in at some point, but I don't think it
that
happens,
seems
does
like an
it?
obvious
So
inclusion, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like the
yeah. I
actual
was thinking that's
game
got to
bit
be
of
the
it.
grand finale or something, but nah. I mean, the
I,
cops do turn up and then like
yeah,
arrest them all and that, but no zip line. Very
I think that's the
sad.
thing, though. The film has got such a strong Christmas. It
yeah,
is probably my top favorite Christmas film, and that will carry you a long way, won't it? It's just so Christmassy that, yeah, I
yeah,
think it would go a long way.
yeah. That's the thing. It's every Christmas Eve. Us and the
Yeah,
kids will sit up and watch Home Alone, and we have done for at least a decade now. And
yeah.
the kids are like, we're talking about spending Christmas Eve somewhere else, and they was like, "Oh, we'll do this Christmas Eve," and the kids were like, "No, we need to watch Home Alone."
Actually,
Yeah.
I've
That's
got
cool.
um, you've probably got this stuff as well. I've got an old version of Home Alone recorder. It's only like 5 or 6 years old now, but it's like on
All
the
right.
DVR thing. So and it's with all the adverts, and so
Oh, I love
it's
that kind of
off.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's on every streaming service. You can
Yeah,
watch it
yeah,
live, but there's something so different about
yeah,
not this. But if you watch it on telly when it comes on live, that's even better. But yeah,
yeah,
watching the old DVR version with the old adverts, and as they get older and older, they add to it as well. You get
Oh,
the old
yeah.
idents from the Channel 4, whatever, and it's just yeah,
It's
it's
really
great.
cool.
oh,
I've got a. Do you remember the movie Raise the Titanic? I don't think it did very well, but I recorded it from the TV in like 1987 or something, and it
Yeah.
was on at Christmas, and it's got all the Christmas adverts like from
oh,
98. So good.
That's so good.
It's
Because stuff
really
like that
cool.
becomes a treasure in itself. Yeah, because I've got Aliens recorded off the telly on a VHS, and that is like, I don't know how old that is. I think it's probably early 90s when I recorded it. And the adverts are properly
mm,
Yeah.
old. It's brilliant. It's just, yeah.
oh man, no, it just made me remember. Oh, and apparently, when I get drunk, because every Christmas Eve we watch Home Alone, and then we watch Die Hard,
Yeah.
and I end up having a few too many Jack Daniels. Usually watching Die Hard, and I always talk about the fact that when I was like when we like Sky Plus first came out, and you could first record stuff. One of the first things we recorded was Die Hard,
Yeah.
but it was the
Yeah.
ITV one, and that was the one that I watched all the time. And it had the commercial bumpers, and it had him in the vent with the lighter on, and that was when it came
Right.
back. And apparently every time, and that was the
I
one that I
That's
watched all the time.
awesome.
I can
And
Yeah.
picture
like
that. Yeah, yeah, I remember
no, and
that.
after I'm a bit tippled, apparently I always go, oh yeah, like this scene was the bit that always sticks in my mind because of the commercial bumpers on the
Yeah.
ITV version.
But,
And they're like, you
but I was
say that
gonna say
every
the
year, Dad.
IT it didn't have like heavy editing on the ITV version, like Yippee Ki Mother Hubbard or something like that, or something, did it? So,
Yeah, that was
the
one of the classic
RoboCop
ones.
version
Yeah.
of like an ITV is like a masterpiece of how terrible the editing, like the censorship is of
Yeah, some awful stuff that they used to cut out. It's just like, why are you censoring that? But I
yeah.
think Die Hard was pretty
Yeah, it was
intact.
pretty intact. Right, that's good. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
but that Digibox is long gone now, so
Oh,
I
that's a
Oh.
shame.
don't have that version. Lost to the wind, sadly. But yeah,
R.I.P.
so that was Home Alone. We've probably got time for a couple more, so we'll come back round to you, Dibs. Have you got another Sega Christmas game, or is the
Well,
world done?
I almost feel like it's been set up. How about some Die Hard trilogy?
Oh, there you go. Yep.
So
Yeah.
slick. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's meant to be. But no,
Yeah.
actually, funnily enough, like my little Christmas tradition is watching Die Hard every Christmas Eve. I like save a couple of presents for the last minute, and then I wrap them up on about pretty late into the evening while watching Die Hard. So I can totally relate to that. But yeah, no, Die Hard trilogy. That's and you mentioned particularly the second one, Die Harder, wasn't it? Where you're at
Yeah.
the airport. It's like more like virtua cop kind of style shooting and stuff like that. It's yeah, I mean like the first game obviously we were talking about how even though it's Christmas in Nakatomi Tower, you wouldn't really know about it in the
No.
game, would you? So yeah.
No, I was trying to
But
remind myself, is there any Christmas decorations? And I was just looking at footage, just saying, nope, nope. Oh, there's a
yeah.
Christmas tree. Nope, that's a palm tree. No, there's a Christmas tree. No, it was like a hanging basket in an office. But yeah, it's
Right.
completely barren. But Die Harder, you open up and you
Mm.
got the snow, and I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
the frustrating thing with the Die Hard trilogy on the Sega Saturn is that
Mm.
the port is quite janky compared to the
Yeah.
PlayStation version. It's
Yeah,
just
the PlayStation was the lead version, wasn't it? I think,
yeah.
and it didn't quite come across as well as you'd have hoped. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's quite
Isn't that
low
game as well
resolution.
where it doesn't let you calibrate the gun or something, and so like it's always a bit off. Maybe I'm like confused with the other one, but
No, it doesn't. But it doesn't let you do it in the PlayStation version as well. So,
yeah.
I've got both versions. But I always play the Sega Saturn version, even though it's
mm.
more pixelated and I can't quite tell if that's meant to be like tinsel or something
Right.
around railings or
Yeah.
whether
Yeah,
it's
Shoot
just
it
yeah.
really
anyway. Yeah.
distorted.
It's just
So
on
I'm just,
principle you got to play the Saturn version. So.
yeah. But even though the frame rate's lower and it really chugs at some points, just playing with the virtual gun is so much better than playing
Yeah,
on the PlayStation with the
yeah.
Predator, which was the only the only gun that
Okay.
works with it, because it's just like random. You point the gun at the Predator at the screen, it's just like right, it's going to shoot in approximately that location, but give or take an inch in any direction.
Oh right. I never played it with the with that gun. Like I mean, like on the Saturn, like when you're playing it with the pad, it's like there's a little bit of resistance with the reticle kind of when you're dragging it around. So like the gun is definitely the way to go with it, isn't it? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and that virtue gun, it is notoriously accurate. It's an absolutely fantastic bit of kit. But I say this about on the movies, absolutely 100% do think first Die Hard is a Christmas film, definitely in that camp. But for me, the second one is actually the one feel most Christmassy about because I saw the end credits when they come out the plane and they're like hugging and stuff, and you got Let Us Know playing, like that's super Christmassy. So I always think the second one's more Christmassy. So for the games, yeah, I definitely feel it, and it's the look of it. They capture the like bits of the airport really well, and
mm.
it's so snowy, and I'd buy it. I'm in. I'm in. It's a Christmas game. Yeah,
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
yeah,
I think the dialogue in the second one is a lot more Christmas focused as well, because you've got the chief talking about how he's, expecting Santa Claus and his eight reindeer, and
yeah,
it's all
Right.
it's all very much geared much more towards Christmas. And
Yeah,
I
they're
don't,
going in on it a little more, aren't they? So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what the history like. I don't know how early on the whole Die Hard being a Christmas movie thing came up, but yeah, it does feel like they knowingly had thought, "Oh, that's quite a fun angle to put on our like action film. Like, let's go a bit more in." But no, yeah, good game as well. Like, and what I mean, it's a bit of a gem to do. Like, they are three. They could have sold them separately. Like, they're
yeah,
good enough. There's a bit of jankiness, especially on the second one, right? But good enough. You could have split them up, so it's quite a step. Sorry, it's wind blowing in there. In the room. So it's like, how's going to be played out? Yeah, I like it.
yeah. There was something earlier about the development of it. Apparently, they really wanted to push, like, I think obviously the PlayStation at the time, because that was the lead console. They wanted to push it as far as it could, and they said no one had ever done like three different games, brand new games on one disc,
Yeah, yeah,
which
Mm.
I don't think that's entirely accurate. I think there was probably, this CD maybe, but I know there was
Oh
discs
yeah.
back in the day,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
3.5 soft floppy disks that would have multiple games on. But
Right.
yeah, it was really cool and ambitious. And yeah, it's definitely from a Christmas perspective. Die Hard 1 is set at
Mm.
Christmas.
Yep.
Die Hard 2 is definitely very Christmassy.
Yeah.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is
Yeah.
not
They
Christmas at
dropped
all.
it. It's not, is it? They just kind of moved on from that thing. They didn't think they could get away with it a third time. So
It's weird actually, though, wasn't it? Because it was like the director of the first one didn't do the second one, did he? I think, but then was it Richard Donner? I can't remember. And then but then he did come back for Die with a Vengeance. So it's weird he just took it in a completely different direction. Still, and cracking film though, like really
really
good.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, shame it's not Christmas. I guess like yeah, to
Yeah,
move on.
all three are great. All three films are great. It's when you
Yeah,
start straying away from the trilogy, it starts getting really,
Mm.
really ropey.
Yeah. I don't even think I've seen some of the most recent ones. It's
that one with
like,
his son in it is all right, but the plot's a bit rubbish. Like it's still got good action in it. I think is that Die Hard 4? I can't even remember what.
oh, well,
That's
it was like 4.0 or something, was it? And it had
yeah,
Gears of War in it at one point. I
yeah.
remember like playing on the screen, but after that, I don't know. Was there a couple more after that? How many are they up
Yeah,
to?
there's five. Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah,
so
okay.
5.
4.0 was with the Warlock, who is Silent Bob, and
Is he
he's
a
got
Ah,
hacker? Is that the one with like the hacker theme or
and
something? Where
he's the
yeah,
hacker that's got Gears of War playing in
yeah.
his hacking basement, and
right.
then and that's the one where he's I think it's got his daughter in it. I think it's got Timothy Oliphant is the bad guy in it,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
then Die
yeah.
Hard. Live Free or Die Hard is the one with his son, and that was just like me and my wife
Okay.
watched it. And was I've only seen it once, and I was just like, I don't have any urge to ever watch that ever again.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah.
might leave it then.
No,
I
it's
haven't
not. It
seen
was
it.
like the fourth Indiana Jones. It kind of just felt like the energy, the feel of it had gone. Like the acting, like the characters just didn't feel right. It was ropey as
Yeah,
anything. But yeah,
yeah,
should have let it go.
should have
Let
let
it
it
go
go.
free.
But
Yeah.
Die Hard trilogy,
Let
yeah,
it go.
yeah, let it go, let it snow.
Yeah.
Let it, yeah. I was going to sing then. I stopped myself. It's Christmas. I don't want to ruin it for everyone.
Sing it, 'tis the season.
Yeah.
It is.
Right, so Bedgell will come to you. I think this will probably be the last one on your side. What Christmas film? Christmas film? This isn't a movie podcast. What Sega Christmas games do you want to shout out?
Well, I'll check into what I thought you were going to say when you were picking between Jank and Jank. So I don't know whether this will be it, but will be Christmas days because it's like, it's become a bit of a thing and you've got to have a chat about it. And I was thinking of it when we were talking Robocod as well, actually, because it's that probably say the same stuff about it. Obviously, it's completely Christmas. You play as
Yeah,
Santa or what?
Oh,
What do
you're
you
talking
turn
about
into?
Days Before Christmas?
Days
yeah,
for
Days
Christmas.
Before
Sorry, yeah,
Christmas.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. So
yeah,
yes,
Days for
I was
Christmas.
marginally confused for a moment. Yeah.
It's late. It's late, guys. But and totally Christmas. But and again, you probably need that just to forgive some of the basicness of the gameplay. It's like so it's nice, like this sort of everything's about it's quite basic and quite simple, but it's got that same kind of physics as Robocod. It's like that just sort of basic platformery, just enough to make it like playable and like
Hmm.
I did sort of enjoy it actually. Like again, maybe I was sort of being a bit rose tinted glasses, like because you only ever really play it around Christmas and like so maybe being a bit positive, but it's all right. I don't hate it.
Hmm.
And it has
Passes
become
passes a few minutes.
yeah, it's become a bit of a staple. Like again,
Yeah.
in the Channel 5 Christmas film territory, it's
you played much of that one, Dibs.
I played it a little bit recently when we were kind of playing around with a few Christmas games and that, and yeah, it's a bit. It's like Bedgell says, it's a little bit nothingy, but it's all right. It's not offensive enough just to be like, I wouldn't want to be chucking the cartridge around or something like ripping it out of the machine. But yeah, they had some weird stuff in it. Like at one point, you turn into like some kind of demon that I
Yeah, you
didn't
could turn
really
into the goblin
understand.
thing. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? What's that all about? But yeah, no, I mean, it's like, it plays nicely enough. He handles okay and that, but it's not like, I wouldn't it doesn't grip you really or anything like that,
No.
I'd say.
Again,
Yeah.
it's like Channel 5 Christmas music, it's people, it's like shovelware stuff that people just slap a bit of Christmas on and then it kind of passes. It reminded me though, you remember Larton's made the Aminal Christmas game and stuff. And I
I was
thought
going to
of
talk about it.
I was thinking of, well, I won't say too much about it then, but like I was thinking of that, thinking it just feels like, again,
Yeah, it's like
competent
that.
enough devs to make a game,
Yeah.
but not really anything special to say.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, just to like fill you in on what we're talking about. Like so, like I used to be in a band with this guy called Lartens, our mate, like Phil Lartens, whatever. And he for some reason decided to make a Christmas game on Xbox Live Arcade. Do you remember when like indie devs could put
Yeah,
games
yeah.
on there? And like he made a game called Aminal the Christmas game because basically the Aminal name we just swapped around the M and N because we thought it was like really
So
funny or
clever.
something.
So
It's
clever.
hard to understand the mind of these teenagers, but yeah. So basically, I did like a few like really rubbish drawings like for it for the characters and stuff. But basically, it was me and him in the game, and we had like one of the songs playing in the background that was from our band and stuff. Like it was just it was really bad. I can't deny it. But we wanted to do kind of a link attack thing, like basically ripping off knights. So
Yeah.
like you would collect up these little what was it? I can't even remember. They
Was
little
it
gold
bells?
bars or something.
Oh,
I
maybe
can't
gold bars,
remember.
yeah.
Oh, it was bells. Yeah, it was bells. And like he made this really annoying noise on his guitar to whenever you picked up a bell and someone was like slagging us off in the comments of this YouTube video like about the sound effects he used.
Oh, was it on
But
YouTube? Because I was going to say, because did he ever put it? Did he put it on Xbox Live
it was on
Arcade?
Xbox Live,
Because I
yeah.
remember him getting some reviews, but they might
Yeah.
have been on YouTube. And
Well,
yeah,
the
they,
the funniest thing was like suddenly, like it was only a few years ago. I suddenly thought, oh, actually, I wonder if anyone's made a video on this game that we made, like it, because it was like 2010 or something like that. We put it out, and there was not a good one out there. Like it was literally people were going in on us, and it was like, all right, maybe I should have looked this up.
Mm.
but the thing is, as your mate, obviously, I was kind of played it. I was like, oh yeah, lads, it's really good. I do sort of think about the
Oh,
days before Christmas. Their mates are probably going, yeah,
yeah.
it's great, yeah, totally release that, yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
really
I'm gonna
good.
have to find this Aminal. What is it called?
Yeah,
Aminal.
Aminal the Christmas game.
Aminal the
It was
Christmas
yeah,
game.
it was on the I can still access it on my Xbox, but
That's
like I
crazy.
don't know if you can buy it anymore. I'm not really
Can't,
sure,
yeah,
You
the
but
won't,
store's
you
been
won't.
shut down, so hopefully
yeah.
someone out there has decided to back it up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Preserve that
Amazingly,
bad boy.
when everyone was doing their lists of guys, these are the ones you must download before they shut the store. No one mentioned it. I mean,
It's
sorry,
incredible. I
dude.
don't know what happened, dude.
So that's
Must have slipped under the radar.
game
Hey,
preservation. Where
I
like
know.
you know,
It's just
just
passing on. The
Yeah.
music's actually good though. I like the track that he did for it. So, if you can have a look at it. So
Yeah, well, we did. It must have been pretty early on YouTube. We wrote this song called like "All I Want for Christmas is Games," and it was, like the parody of the Mariah Carey, but it was like nothing like that. That was just kind of like the main line in the chorus. But like, yeah, it was quite a nice
it's a
little
good
rocky
tune. Yeah.
kind of song.
yeah.
Like one of my friends keeps sending it to radio stations every year. She's trying to get it on there. It's like just give it up. It's like it was from like 2006 or something. No one's gonna watch.
Oh, you
I
never
think in
know.
all those years it got like 1,000 views or something like that. Oh man.
I don't know, weird things happen at Christmas, dude. What was
Yeah,
it? Was it Killing in the Name that got to number one? I can't
It
yeah.
remember.
did,
You
yeah.
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
As a fight back against
It's a
X
protest
Factor,
Like
then, was
against.
it? Yeah.
yeah,
Pop
X
Idol
Factor or
or
something was
yeah,
it? Or
one of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
it was called, Pop Stars something. Yeah.
So maybe latch on to something. Yeah, find something that people hate at Christmas and say, guys, I know how we can fight back. I'm an all the Christmas game.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we at least put Christmas nights in the video for it, so at least it had one thing going for it.
Yeah.
Oh, but days before Christmas though, it does have that feeling I think of like a game created for the Amiga and then ported over. It really does
Mm,
have those James Bond, and it is very strange. I
yeah.
think the Santa's really well animated. I always think of it
Mm,
kind of as an indie game, but it actually had a retail release, didn't it? So
yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
It came out in Australia, didn't it? I don't know if it came out. Did it come out
Definitely,
over
I've
here?
seen
definitely
the
the
box
version
art, but
I've
I'm not
got.
sure.
Yeah, I
It's
see there's like a
it's
PAL
Australian,
copy, but
yeah,
I thought people said it was Australia. I don't know, I might be wrong, but yeah,
yeah.
be interesting to find out. But
I only picked it up when I got, started being able to download ROMs and stuff, and uh, but the version I've got is Australian release, so possibly
ah,
they're in some
yeah.
weird stuff over there. I mean, it's summer at Christmas; they're all mixed up, They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Christmas on the beach, what's that about?
Whatever.
Yeah, they're seeing all this snow and then at Christmas and just like, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I thought it was funny on your last year's episode when you were talking about that Father Christmas game that came out in Japan on the Saturn.
Yeah,
It's like such a Western kind of thing, isn't it? It's like the animation from the snowman and all
it
that
is. Yeah,
sort of thing. And
Yeah.
it was just like, yeah, really weird.
yeah. The PlayStation got Father Christmas, and the Saturn got the Snowman. So they
Oh,
both
is
got
that what it was? Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they both got. Is it
Yeah.
Robert Briggs? I can't remember the author's name now,
Briggs
but
is
yeah,
right. Yeah,
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the
So
most traumatic thing I remember from last year was when James was describing getting an Atari Lynx instead of a Game Gear, and I was feeling his pain, man. It was just like, oh, what a thing to
yeah,
happen,
Yeah,
man.
I
that,
never
that
had that. My parents were locked. We had it locked down. There was a good sort of 2 months of lobbying before Christmas came around. They knew it. They had like circled in the like catalog for Dixons or whatever. They knew what they were getting.
yeah. That's the James got done twice because he had expecting
Mm,
the Mega Drive and got the Atari ST, and
Oh
then
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
was
yeah.
and then
that's
and
why he
then
hates Atari.
and
Oh
then when he thought
man,
he was getting a Game Gear, he opened up to get a Lynx. It's
yeah.
just like,
Oh
so
man, what a
they
thing
had,
to happen. I mean, I like the links, California games and all that stuff, but like, when
it's
you're
a great
hankering for a
console.
Sega, yeah, when you're after Sega and you're dropping all the hints for the Game Gear or whatever, it's just like, come on, man, what
Actually,
a thing to happen.
if I got links this Christmas, I'd be made up. That is the one console from our like back in the day era that we had then that we don't have
Yeah,
now. Yeah.
I have that.
No, I
I've
don't
got
have it.
the
I
oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah.
I have the
I don't care
original one.
about
It's
you,
like
dude.
it's like playing on like a skateboard or something like that. It's so big, it's
You can
crazy.
play it upside down, can't you?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can swap it
Ahead of
out.
its
Yeah,
time.
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a really it is actually a really cool console, and Sega
yeah.
very nearly it was very nearly the Sega Links.
Oh,
Really?
was it? Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
news to me actually. Yeah.
yeah. In our chat with Tom Kalinske and Al Nilsson,
Oh,
Yeah.
Al
I
talks
remember
about the
that.
fact that they were that close to they had their
Ah,
signs for
nice.
the announcement and everything that it was going to be the Sega Links, and then obviously Sega of Japan said, "Oh no, we're going to create our own one."
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
Nice.
crazy
Ah,
stuff.
interesting.
Also, one of the most impressive things, like it's a chunky machine. Obviously, like the first one,
Yeah,
like
the
about
first one's
50 foot
huge.
long, and the
Yeah,
second one massively chunky in your hands. And for the size of both of them, the screen is so tiny. You forget how
yeah,
tiny that screen
yeah.
actually is. It's like you've got this massive thing, and then you're like 2 foot.
I
It's
know.
still so cool though. Yeah.
You compare it to something like the Game Boy Advance that came later, and it's just like, yeah, wow, this is like the screen's most of the console, and you go back and it's like a tiny little porthole on the console, isn't it? Now it's just like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
It's
I
weird.
remember it being a lot clearer and a lot bigger back in the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, though, nice and bright.
Ah,
I do that. That was the thing. Like everyone, we actually like in our school, a lot of it was like kids had Game Boys, and then some of the kids from like overseas like started bringing in Lynxes, and actually
Hmm.
Game Gear kind of didn't get a look in for a while. And that Lynx is such a bright screen. It's so like after a Game Boy, obviously with your lights and like tilting it
mm.
into the
Yeah.
sun and all that stuff. When the Lynx came around, that was the thing that wrapped up all the praise for the same thing the Game Gear got praise for, that
Hmm.
beautiful bright screen. But yeah, they were very cool in our school, the Lynx. And
Yeah.
Mm.
again, did manage to catch one off someone at one point and sort of tempted not to give it back. But
Kind of person are you, man?
I'm a
No.
fiend.
Out
Yeah.
of order.
That game's addiction, man. Makes a man do terrible things.
It does.
Oh, right. Talk about terrible things. No, not really. But, I'll just quickly say what my last one was because obviously, Bedgell, you were saying what janky game was I talking
Was,
about?
yeah.
And it wasn't Days Before Christmas. It was one that is quite close to my heart, specifically the Japanese version because that had fixed camera angles, and then the PAL
Mm.
version moved to a free camera. and that is Blue Stinger.
Yeah.
Blue Stinger, set at Christmas, and my lingering memory from getting that game, because I had an import Dreamcast, and I was buying, games as they were, not as they were new, but as they were kind of falling in price like a month or so later, still before the Power launch. And Blue Stinger was one that I was like, I saw it, I loved Resident Evil on the Saturn. I was like, I have to have Blue Stinger. I played Deep Fear as well before that. I was like, I have to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Blue Stinger. And obviously I was playing it, and do you know what? I actually loved it in the Japanese version, but obviously language barrier, didn't have
Yeah.
a clue what was going
That's
on.
the problem we had. Yeah.
Um, but there wasn't many game FAQ guides on there, so there was nothing that I could follow around. So I was spending a lot of the time wandering around, going back and forth, and I got pretty far in it. And the music from the mall, as you go through the mall, and it's like that Christmas tune that's playing, and it plays
Yeah.
on loop over and
Yeah.
over again. I still wake up sometimes with that playing in my head. I
Yeah.
played that game so much. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool, if it's kind of like a little while ago, and I know we're talking about Christmas movies on Channel 5, when me and the missus were looking for something to watch a few years back, and we went onto Amazon Prime to see what was free on Prime, and one Christmas movie was like a zombie Christmas, and it was just like the most B movie D grade crap that I'd ever seen. But it was entertaining, and that's kind of what this was into.
Yeah,
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 I know
yeah.
what you mean. Yeah. I mean, my friend Lartens, he got it with his import Dreamcast, so it was like before the PAL launch and stuff. And he was like, I was around his house watching him play it, and he was like just slogging his way through, didn't have a clue what he was doing. Like all Japanese, didn't know the names of the characters or anything. But like it looked nice though. It was like all the characters were very smooth and rounded. They weren't like, polygony for want of
Yeah,
a better word. And it was like, it's definitely an interesting looking game. Yeah, but the Christmas bit kind of like I definitely remember you kind of get to like a bunch, is it a bunch of streets or something? You're still
Mm.
taking out the baddies or
Like the
something
high
like
yeah,
street
that.
bit, yeah.
But yeah, there's like a big smiling billboard of Father Christmas next to you
yeah.
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a mall when you're going through like a street, and then there's like all
It's
the
all
big
the
Yeah.
neon
monsters.
stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and you shoot them, and they drop like money and ammo. I think it's mostly money. You pick up the
Yeah,
coins and
money.
stuff.
That's
Yeah,
right.
I ended up. My character's pockets must have been like bulging like Santa Claus's sacks. He was
Yeah.
picking up. So I
Look,
was just like
MC
running through
Hammer's
that gun.
trousers.
Yeah, exactly. I was gunning stuff down. It was just like I don't know where I'm going. I'm going back and forth for that for
Yeah,
hours.
we had no idea, but
No.
like we persisted, like mainly Larton. So shout outs to you. Good
Well,
one for that.
I was going to say, see, my memory of Blue Stinger is obviously. So you two had the Japanese Saturn, like Japanese Saturn. See, it is like Japanese Dreamcast, and I didn't get mine until Power One came out. But I had set my head against Blue Stinger because you remember Larton said this thing. He'd latch onto games that were a bit niche or a bit
Yeah,
weird. And then
yeah,
about that time, he was going. Do you remember? He went on and on about pen triisolide, and he was just
yeah,
constantly like he was convinced it was going to be amazing. He was like
yeah,
raving about it, and
yeah.
Blue Stinger. And so, like, I was kind of basically, it's kind of like, dude, I'm getting to the point where any game you recommend, I'm not going to play. And so Blue Stinger's sort of filling that cabinet. And then he sort of was obsessively like playing it, no idea what was going on. Oh, yeah, it's great. Even though it's in Japanese, I can't understand what the hell's going on. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm just going to say it again. Anything you play, I'm not playing it. So, yeah, he put me off it big time. But
Oh, Lartons, what are you like?
I'd rather play Am and all the Christmas games.
That's saying something.
Oh, I want to play Aminal the Christmas game now. I definitely
Yeah.
want to try and I want to mod my Xbox 360 there and see if I can get the
Yeah,
game
yeah,
working on
do
it.
it. At least someone will have played it. I don't know how many there are who downloaded
I definitely want
it.
to. There was definitely a classic review. I gotta fish it out, man. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, play it. Tell it. Let us know what you think of it.
Yeah, if I can, I've got to mod a 360 first, but yeah, if I can, then I'll definitely let you know. But yeah, Blue Stinger, I think it's definitely it's set at Christmas. Christmas vibes are there.
hmm
For some reason, I think that the PAL version just left me a bit cold. I
Oh,
didn't like
really?
the free camera, and I've never been able to get
Oh,
into it.
okay.
I
Yeah.
got further in the Japanese version than I
Mm.
ever got with the PAL one. Just
Really, yeah,
can't get
yeah.
into the PAL one as much. Whereas the Japanese one, I was on board with Lartons, man. I was in the zone on there. I was properly dialed in.
Yeah.
I was loving it,
Oh,
that's
that's
why
cool.
Oh, if you
I
like
spent so
that too,
much
you
time.
should play Pen Try Iceland.
I've
Apparently,
got
it's brilliant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got pen up there, and it's
yeah.
But no, it's true with
Yeah.
you're right with the power because it's not just free. Like you can really and write out, can't you? And it's just a bit bizarre. And I always thought on Resident Evil, like I never kind of got on with I loved the moodiness and the sort of the eeriness of the fixed camera views and stuff. And then so just bit different, I know, but like the closeness, I think it adds a huge bit to like how it
Yeah.
feels. I just think I don't know what the instruction was, but I don't think it was well executed. So it could have worked, but I just think they didn't sort of it doesn't feel like they play tested it and tightened it up. So
Yeah, I think they designed the game around fixed camera angles, and then for
Mm.
some reason had a mandate to turn it into a free camera, and then the game
mm,
wasn't really designed for that.
mm,
Yeah.
So I don't think they changed any of the enemy placement or anything like that. So it just
Okay.
it just feels weird.
yeah,
But compared
Yeah.
to what I'd love is for someone to merge the two together, to smush them
Right.
together, so you get the English dub and the English
Yeah,
language,
that would be
but with the
cool.
but with the Japanese fixed camera
yeah,
angles.
yeah, yeah. And to be honest, it's quite likely it will happen. I mean, like it feels, there's a game sitting there waiting to be ported, and they've done some rarer ones, the community. So maybe
Yeah.
they'll hear the call. Come on, we need another Christmas game, guys. Come
I
on,
know,
do
I
it.
Yeah.
know. But some of the stuff we just it's just like I don't appreciate how difficult it is. It's like after I was playing Snatcher and then I was playing the Saturn version for a bit of a comparison,
Yeah,
and I was just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Mm.
come on, take the Mega CD audio, just drop it in the Saturn
Yeah.
one, and you're
Oh
done.
man, I'd
And
be
then I
all
found
over that.
I found a proof of concept that Shadow Mast did a few years back, and he was saying it was a test, and he was saying that the actual task would be really difficult because
Mm,
of the way that the audio is encoded, and it's just like a
Mm.
file format that is completely unique, and like it just you
Right.
need
yeah,
someone to brain. It was just like, oh man, it's like and like this stuff is just so difficult. It does make you appreciate what these guys do even more
Yeah,
because they
amazing stuff.
massively. Because you
Incredible what people are doing. Yeah.
you see, I think again it's Derek, but like I follow a lot of them on Twitter. I'm sure you guys do, and like they do post stuff about how they're doing it.
yeah
You're right that to unpick some of the things, even like what is it, Cat versus SNK, or like the
yeah.
non-text heavy games, to unpick it, to then just put an English word in it is so complicated. You're like, wow, they're doing whole games. Like it's just unbelievable. So
Yeah, that Capcom versus SNK2 one is insane because do you realize how watered down the English dub was, or the English translation was
Mm.
over in the
yeah,
West?
yeah,
Because it's almost like every single character interaction has their own unique dialogue with each other in the
yeah.
Japanese one, and they made it really generic in the US, in the Western one, and just stripped out like 90% of the dialogue and win quotes. So
Mm.
like they're translating so much more. But I don't know if you saw that bit where Derek was talking about how the fact that he changed like the guard and parry stuff,
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, because
and
it's
it
on
and
different
it
layers or
changed
something, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
changed the font and everything all changed depending whether you had it in VGA mode or whether you had it in like
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it's just like they had found this other layer. It's like it's the only game that's ever done that. And you just think this stuff's insane.
It's
Yeah, it
insane.
is.
Yeah, I think when I first got into the scene with the Fenrir and the GDME and stuff, and I was first downloading some of these like translated games, I just took it for granted. Oh yeah, just whack the text on, and then obviously you start to the more you get into it and you start following them and hearing, you're like, wow, guys, actually, the dedication you've taken. So yeah, so like I support a couple of them that I know have done the games that I've played and stuff. Because you think if someone rocked up to you with some of these translations, like Sakura Wars being one of the main ones, and said, will you pay me a full retail price for this? I'd be like, yeah, because like I
Yeah,
always wanted to play the game. Now I can.
Mm.
It just, yeah, they deserve, proper support. And yeah, it's great. But
yeah.
so anyway, having said all that, Blue Stinger, anyone? Just,
And that will give us the perfect Blue Stinger horror Christmas game.
Yes.
Oh, well, guys, I think that's probably going to bring us to the end now because we're that 2 hours just absolutely flew by, and I think there's a
Mm.
tight I think there's a tight schedule on Radio Sega at Winterfest time, so I don't want to
Oh,
go
is
too
there?
far
Okay.
over.
I'll put a sock in it.
Yeah, can it, Dibbs?
Yeah, once again, lads, it's been, as I say, it's just absolutely flown by, and it's just an absolute pleasure to have you guys on. And you'll have to come back, especially when we have James again, and we're able to get the four of us on for, and then
Yeah,
we
we
and then
miss you,
we
dude.
and then we will go full on. We've got James's advent calendar idea or whatever we'll turn
Mm.
that into. So I think that'll
Yeah.
be a laugh. But
Yeah, great laugh.
so back to you guys. So the stuff that you're doing on the channel is absolutely amazing. I love the book club, and I love the
Oh,
other
thanks.
videos that come in between.
Oh,
We'll be
thanks.
participating in your night's challenge. I know I probably won't do as well. As soon as people like the Shiro guys, like Sat and Dave and Man of Stone is really good at it. I think he was the best player
He was the
last
best
year, wasn't
last
he?
year, so yeah.
Oh,
He's
really?
fantastic.
Oh, I look
He's
forward to
fantastic.
that.
And actually,
Yeah.
Man of Stone, I've still got a pair of Saturn socks in that wardrobe there for you. They're yours, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, but so for those that are listening to you for the first time, maybe on Winterfest, just let them know where they can find you.
So we're YouTube, we're Gamer for Ages, so gaming underscore for underscore ages. And like you said, Dan, mate, every 2 weeks got the pod, which is like the book club where we play one game for a couple of weeks, and then just like do a pod about that one game. And in between, we sort of do like more sort of, I guess, random and mixed videos. We are obviously, like you guys, we're very Sega focused, not exclusively, although I have to say so far we have been exclusively Sega
Yeah.
focused.
Yeah.
We have got one planned for next year, which is finally going to break the mold. But
Sega's where our heart is, though, and you
Yeah,
can't do
it's like you're opening. It's like all the games are old. Most of them are Sega, and it's just like they're all Sega. They're all Sega,
Yeah.
which I'm all for.
you sit down and say, "Oh, what should we play next?" This and you kind of want to spread your wings, but there's just so many good Sega games to play
Yeah.
first. So
That's
yeah.
the thing.
But yeah, game for ages, and obviously at the moment, like as we're sort of talking, we've got that the Christmas Lights Challenge going, and there are amazing prizes that are sort of cost of a grand total of about £5 each, but they're exclusive to competition, so do get involved. And also, it gets you playing. Like what I found last year doing it is, it's fun having the competition and stuff, but it's just great having the focus, really committing to nights, because then like you just start to unlock how brilliant it plays once you get the fluidity. So that's my favorite thing about it, to get involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so make sure, if listeners and viewers, that if you haven't already, make sure you make your way over to Gaming for Ages YouTube page, give them a subscribe, because you guys big fans of what you do. As I enjoyed all your stuff before, from the Grigorix days, but loving the book club and loving all the extra stuff. So fantastic.
Cheers,
So thanks again for coming on, viewers, listeners. Hope
Pleasure.
you've enjoyed this. So let us know what your favorite festive games are in the comments below, or in the Radio Sega Discord, or the Sega Guys Discord. And if you've enjoyed this, if you're on YouTube, give us a like and a subscribe. And if you want to be extra mega, why don't you become a member with a bunch of awesome perks from as little as 99p, such as getting your name read out in the credits, just as these fine gentlemen are now. So Nick Tuglock, Andy Mackey, Peter 007, Tom Thumb, P-Wall, Resident SD, Craig Williamson, Markowski, Stiff Peaks, G-Man, and our brothers at Sega Saturn Shiro. But don't worry if a monthly membership isn't for you. Just by being here with us and sharing some of your Sega memories is fantastic. So, once again, Dibbs, Bedgell, thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Hope you have a
Cheers.
good festive period. And for everyone else, we'll see you on the Sega side.